Chapter 3340. Whoever went would die. Something's not right. Let's go down and take a look. Go! The forest was too quiet. Many people sensed an ominous aura. Hence, they leaped down the forest. However, when they found their footing, their hearts began to tremble. The forest's ground had already turned blood red. All sorts of energy shockwaves swept across. Corpses that had been slain by swords were strewn across the ground. Demonic Force King. Not good. That's the Qingqing Xiong Wang. Why is he dead? Impossible. Among this group of people, there are 8th stage saints. Furthermore, with so many people joining forces, how could they all die? A gust of cold wind seemed to blow past everyone's hearts, giving them a strange feeling. Lin Ling had killed everyone by himself? And in such a short period of time? He even hid the great solar calamity destroying Bao and the God's Eye talent. Could it be these methods? Even so, he could only kill 1 or 2 people. But this is a complete annihilation. He must be hiding some other method that we can't see through. Chase him. Everyone lost their banter. They knew that things were not as simple as they had imagined. They immediately rushed out of the forest in a bid to find Lin Ling. This time, they wanted to surround and kill Lin Ling with all their might. However, just as they rushed out of the forest, above the sky, figures that filled the sky tightly surrounded them. These figures all held huge dragon bows in their hands, and the dragon god arrows were aimed at them. This caused the entire sky to be filled with dragon gods. Heavenly dragon guardians. Not good. He has been waiting for us. The expressions of the experts who were surrounded changed drastically. They had naturally heard of Lin Ling's method. It was said that it was one of the 8 divine powers of the dragon race. Although the dragon Bao made them wary, they had the advantage in numbers. This was why they dared to chase after Lin Ling. However, they were surrounded by Lin Ling. Furthermore, they were all holding dragon bows. They could not tell which was real and which was fake. Perhaps all of them were real. Run. I'm not fighting anymore. This arrow is very difficult to block unless we have an ultimate desolate body. That's right. The Son of Demon's boundary essence has always been very strange. It seems to be at the 1st stage of the Saint Realm, but the density of his boundary essence is comparable to the 6th stage of the Saint Realm. Coupled with the powerful dragon Bao, it won't be difficult for him to fight someone 3 stages above him. Don't run, this will fulfill his wish. Everyone, work together to block this arrow. After this arrow, the Son of Devil will definitely exhaust his world essence. All sorts of voices continued to ring out as the experts started to panic. In fact, they didn't have the confidence to block Lin Ling's arrow, so they didn't want to be scapegoats and let the people behind them benefit. However, they each had their own ulterior motives, which was what Lin Ling wanted. After all, if they joined forces, Lin Ling did not know if the dragon Bao could kill them. I'm not fighting. I'm not participating in this. Those who were running away were not stupid. Because they were from different factions, they could not guarantee that they would not be used as a shield at a critical moment. Bastard! Seeing that those who were running away only cared about themselves, many people started to curse. However, when they saw the countless dragon bows around them, they also had the intention to retreat. They were all thinking that as long as they avoided this arrow, Lin Ling would be captured without a fight. Then, why should they block this arrow? This also caused them to not be united at all, and they started to run in all directions. Now's the time. At this moment, countless Lin Ling's eyes were cold. All of his world essence and dragon bone power poured into the dragon Bao. Then the most dazzling arrow was shot out. 4 arrows intertwined, and the dragon god opened his mouth wide in anger, like a heavenly dragon protecting the Buddha god. Run! Sensing that terrifying power, the experts from all sides let out loud cries. However, they did not know where to run because Lin Ling was all around them, and they were all shooting arrows. They could only resign themselves to fate. This miserable appearance was completely different from the complacent appearance from before. However, some of the experts saw that there was no way to escape, and their bodies bloomed with dazzling light. They all erupted with powerful techniques to resist the huge dragon god arrow. Rumble! An arrow exploded in the sky, causing countless deaths and injuries. It was as if the dragon race had arrived. In the next moment, a large number of corpses fell from the sky. Everything was as they said. Without the existence of the ultimate desolate body, It was very difficult to block this arrow. Even if they were not killed by the power, they would definitely be seriously injured. In the end, although they were experts at the Sage Realm, they were not the top Sage Realm experts. Otherwise, they would not have obeyed others. However, their strength was not weak either. After colliding with the dragon god arrow, it formed a huge shockwave in the Yen state. After the shockwave erupted, it implicated a large number of people. No! Those who were running away were immediately swept up by the power if they were slower. Even sages would fall. As for those who were fast enough, they were seriously injured. As for the center, it was a catastrophe. Everyone died, including Lin Ling's illusion god True Inheritance's myriad transformations. At this moment, it was all turned into ashes. Lin Ling, on the other hand, spat out a mouthful of blood. It was as if he had been struck by a violent storm. Fortunately, his speed was not slow. After using the art of wind and rain myriad realms, his full speed was 190 realm speed. That was how he managed to avoid the greatest catastrophe of the Saint Realm. However, even though he had used all his strength to avoid the shockwave, he was still seriously injured. Of course, compared to the catastrophe behind him, he still felt that he had profited. Because of this collision, 80% of the Sage Realm experts had fallen. Rumble! In the sky, various powers were dancing wildly. Lightning, flames, ghostly aura, demonic aura, etc. There were not many Sage Realm experts left. At this moment, they were all hiding far away, looking into the distance with horrified eyes. Dead, they're all dead. An expert with a broken arm sighed. The outcome in front of him had exceeded his imagination. We've been tricked. If we had joined forces, that arrow would not have killed so many people. However, our strength was not united enough. After colliding with that arrow, the power was out of control. In the end, countless Sage Realm experts were implicated. The son of the devil. What he used before was an illusion. Because too many dragon bows appeared, it scared us. Damn it! The experts who had survived all said sorrowfully. They looked into the distance, but no longer dared to chase after him. The son of the devil was like a trapped beast. The strength that erupted before his death was terrifying. Whoever went after him would die. Who dared to do so? Rumble. Chapter 33-41. 9 Heavenly Eyes. Neptune's Eye. What's going on? The shockwaves were still rolling, but soon, 2 figures arrived. It was Jianghu and Wuxia. They were obviously shocked. They didn't expect that capturing Lin Ling alive would cause such a terrible shockwave. Moreover, they felt uncomfortable when they saw that so many of those who were chasing after Lin Ling had died. Wuxia sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Ling was too scary. It's the son of Devil's Dragon Bow. Originally, the Dragon Bow was not so powerful. However, we added some power to it and caused the 2 powers to collide, resulting in such a catastrophe. An old man from the new heavenly court replied. Trash. He's only one person. Why are you panicking? Jianghu's face darkened. It was not easy for the new heavenly court to accumulate such power, but it was destroyed by Lin Ling. At that time, he used some kind of martial arts to create a large number of clones. We couldn't tell the real one from the fake. The old man frowned and found an excuse for himself. Where is the son of devil now? However, Jianghu did not intend to pursue the matter. Capturing Lin Ling was the most important thing now. Over there. Hearing his words, someone immediately pointed into the distance and said. Jianghu immediately chased in that direction with Wuxia. He looked back and saw that the saints from before did not dare to chase after them. Clearly they were afraid. A bunch of trash. Jianghu's lips curled into a disdainful smile. At the same time, he was mocking them for being stupid. Right now, Lin Ling must be exhausted and heavily injured. Whoever went to capture him would definitely succeed and gain a great merit. However, those people were scared. Wasn't this letting him off easy? Neptune! Jianghu shouted. His eyes turned blue as the Neptune's eye of 9 heavenly eyes appeared. It was as if he could see Lin Ling in the distance. Then he sneered. Do you think you can escape? Whoosh! Beneath him, an ocean suddenly appeared, carrying him and Wuxia forward at a speed of 150 worlds. At this moment, Lin Ling was still moving forward. But soon, His speed became 100 world speed because his world essence was exhausted. He couldn't use the wind-rain myriad worlds technique. They're catching up. At the same time, he noticed the two people chasing after him. In particular, the ferocious and flowing sea gave Lin Ling a huge sense of pressure. In the sea, he saw a pair of blue eyes staring at him mercilessly. The recovery speed of my boundary essence is not fast enough. Lin Ling continued to rush forward, continuously sensing the recovery of the spirit essence in his dantian. Although the recovery speed was not slow, he had 5 dantians, in addition to the fact that his opponent was very strong, so the recovery speed was not of much help. Son of Devil, where can you run to? Behind them, above the rolling sea, Wuxia and the Golden Crow looked at Lin Ling with a smile, as if they were looking at a fleeing dog. They were very satisfied with this result. The previous sage expert had exhausted all of Lin Ling's strength and injured Lin Ling. Now, they could easily finish off Lin Ling. Martial nephew, you're bleeding. Wuxia stroked his chin, a mocking look on his face. Little Kunlun. However, at this moment, countless black vines suddenly grew from the ground, turning this side of the sky into an ancient forest. These vines actually blocked the endless sea. He still has some tricks up his sleeve. Seeing this, the Golden Crow's expression turned solemn. Lin Ling was only a first heaven sage, but he had many trump cards. After killing so many sages, he still did not give up. Brother Golden Crow, these vines are quite powerful. Wuxia said solemnly, no longer looking like he was joking. I know, but it's okay. These vines can't stop me. The Golden Crow nodded, his eyes shining with a strange light. Then, the entire sky was drowned by the sea, and so were the black vines. Needle in a haystack. The terrifying thing was that even though the vines were very fast, a current appeared beneath the Golden Crow's feet, easily carrying the two of them through the vines. Little Kunlun was useless against them. It could not restrain them. Splash! Furthermore, the ferocious seawater did not stop. With the speed of 200 worlds, it flooded the sky and drowned Lin Ling in an instant. The Golden Crow has the sea god's bloodline, and it has the ultimate desolate body. Lin Ling crossed the sea, but his speed was suppressed to 80 worlds. Moreover, he knew that Wuxia's speed would increase again in the sea. Lin Ling had seen many sea gods' bloodlines, but this was the first time he saw one so pure and ferocious. At the end of the day, it was because the Golden Crow had the ultimate desolate body. Space-time divine steel. Lin Ling knew that if this continued, he would definitely be caught. Therefore, his eyes bloomed with colorful flames. Rumble! The sea was immediately parted, and the ancient steel with colorful flames smashed towards the Golden Crow and Wuxia. The son of demon indeed has the space-time god eye of the 6 great god eyes of the universe. The Golden Crow's expression couldn't help but turn grave when he sensed the pressure from the sea. His talent was clearly weaker than the god eye, but his cultivation was higher and he was at his peak. Thus, he didn't fear the space-time divine steel. Sea God's Eye! The Golden Crow roared, and a huge eye appeared in the churning sea, facing the space-time divine steel. Rumble! Before long, the space-time divine steel was sent flying, and even the flames dimmed significantly. Haha! Sensing this, the Golden Crow could not help but laugh, and once again chased after Lin Ling. Everything was as he had guessed. The space-time divine steel could not suppress him. Son of Demon, your realm essence is not enough to control the space-time divine steel. You can't escape. The Golden Crow sneered. Beside him, Wuxia laughed again when he heard the situation. Lin Ling frowned and sighed inwardly. If he was at his peak, with the space-time divine steel and other trump cards, he might be able to kill the Golden Crow. Even if he could not, the Golden Crow would not dare to be arrogant. Unfortunately, he had not even recovered his realm essence. How could he be a match for the Golden Crow? You think I don't know just because you don't speak? Now, even Wuxia can easily kill you. Seeing Lin Ling's silence, the Golden Crow sneered again. Brother Golden Crow, don't worry, don't worry. Let this stray dog escape. Perhaps he will have a mental breakdown. Beside him, Wuxia took out a flagon of wine and poured a cup for the Golden Crow. You're right, you're right. The Golden Crow took it and nodded in satisfaction. The nearby area was covered by his talent. As long as Lin Ling was still in the sea,
Lin Ling would not be able to escape his grasp sooner or later, so there was no need to worry.
Chapter 3342. His final trump card, the True Inheritance Dark Sword. Lin Ling also knew what the Golden Crow was thinking. He decided to slow down as well to save some realm essence in case of an emergency. There were only two methods he could use now. 1. The scabbard.
Because of the scabbard, the headless old man would appear when he was on the brink of death.
It might save his life, but it was also a gamble. After all, he was not familiar with the headless old man. After the headless old man appeared, Lin Ling would owe him a favor. If he could not find a new broken sword, the headless old man would definitely kill him. 2. The True Inheritance Dark Sword. It was a divine weapon. If he used it, he could definitely kill the Golden Crow, but he would have to pay with his life force. The last time he used it, Lin Ling had almost died. In the end, he was saved by Xiao Yu. This time he might not be so lucky. Moreover, the True Inheritance Dark Sword was very important. If he used it, Martial God Wen Tian would definitely come immediately. He might even be waiting for this moment. At this rate, it will take a long time for my realm essence to recover to its peak. By then, the Golden Crow and the others would have already attacked me. So, I'll use the True Inheritance Dark Sword. The last time I used it, the side effect was huge. However, I was only in the half-step Saint Realm at that time. Now that I'm in the Saint Realm, and I've devoured many recovery treasures, maybe the side effect won't be obvious after a short time. Lin Ling thought quickly. How long do you want to run? At this time, the Golden Crow and the others had finished drinking and finally said coldly. Lin Ling, can you only run like a dog? Jianghu Jie sneered coldly. Hearing this, Lin Ling stopped and said indifferently, Run? When have I, Lin Ling, ever run from anything in my life? Haha, you can be stubborn. You're just a stray dog now. Do you have any other tricks up your sleeve? I can see that although you're recovering your realm essence, the pitiful amount you've recovered is not enough to fight me. The Golden Crow said disdainfully.
He looked at the surging sea and suddenly said, Fine, I'll let you know the difference between us, Eye of the Sea God. Last time in the arena, because he had underestimated his opponent, his celestial eye had clashed with Lin Ling's God Eye and failed to gain any advantage. Thus today, he wanted Lin Ling to die a clear death. A God Eye against a heaven eye was like an egg smashing against a rock. Brother Golden Crow, could it be that you still have some tricks up your sleeve? Seeing this, Jianghu Jie smiled excitedly. Of course, to be able to catch the eye of martial God Wen Tian, how could this be all I have? The Golden Crow said proudly, causing huge eyes to appear in the sea, as if they were the eyes of the sea god. Crash! Bang bang bang! Rumble! Then, a terrifying thing happened. Huge waves rose up from the sea. Then, huge shadows appeared in all directions, as if they had come from the era of the gods. When the silhouettes became clearer, Jianghu Jie's pupils trembled. There is a fish in the North Sea. Its name is Kuan. Because what appeared in the sea was an endless number of sea demons. It was a Kuan. A real Kuan. One had to know that the Kuan was a divine beast, also known as the fish of the North Sea. It only appeared in the era of the gods. In the current JoJo world, many people's martial arts could summon such divine beasts. However, they only had the appearance and not the real form. But what was in front of them was the real thing, absolutely real. That's right. These are reared by the sea god. They already have an endless lifespan and are being reared in a secret void in the JoJo world. Only my Eye of the Sea God can communicate with the sea, allowing these divine beasts to come. That mysterious sea is also called the Sea of Gods. The Golden Crow opened his arms. Behind him, countless huge figures gradually arrived. This ultimate desolate body is really terrifying. Lin Ling's gaze turned serious. He estimated that the Golden Crow's ultimate desolate body had reached the 2nd grade. Even if it had not reached the 2nd grade, it was very close to that boundary. A 2nd grade ultimate desolate body could only be seen by Li Xiaoyao in his previous life. This was the first time Lin Ling had seen one in this life. As for the huge fish of the North Sea, they finally stopped. They did not devour Lin Ling because they had received the Golden Crow's orders. The Golden Crow placed his hands behind his back and said nonchalantly, Now you know the difference between you and me. It's only a 2nd grade desolate body. I've already seen it.
If you want to make me revere this ultimate desolate body, then don't even think about it.
This is because a long, long time ago, I've seen an ultimate desolate body that was even more powerful than yours.
And what you have is just an unorthodox method.
Upon seeing this, Lin Ling said coldly,
Haha, unorthodox method? Upon hearing this, the golden crow laughed out loud. Wuxia, who was beside him, did the same. However, Wuxia did not see the anger in the golden crow's eyes. This was because even though he had summoned the divine beasts, Lin Ling did not revere or fear them. Instead, he had a look of disdain. He felt like he had been humiliated. This is probably the first time you have seen a divine beast in your life.
Following which, the golden crow said coldly,
Don't compare your world with mine. It's just a divine beast.
It's not like I, Lin Ling, have never seen one before. Lin Ling shook his head.
Since you're so powerful, why don't you bring out the power of the era of gods and let me see it? Upon hearing this, the golden crow did not speak, but Wuxia said disdainfully.
Lin Ling was at death's door, yet he was still being stubborn. That's exactly what I was thinking.
However, Lin Ling nodded. His dimensional essence hasn't recovered, but the strength of his fleshly body has long recovered. At this moment, an unending stream of life energy flowed towards the sword gate behind him, causing the black sword gate to vibrate. It was like a sealed item was silently awakening at this moment. Swoosh! A sword flew out and floated above Lin Ling's head, revealing its sharpness. This is the power of God that you speak of. Upon seeing this, the golden crow and Wuxia were stunned. Their laughter became even louder. They had seen that sword before. Although it was powerful, how could it fight against the fish of the North Sea? You are indeed ignorant, but I can't blame you. In this day and age, other than me, no one else can control this sword. Well, I'll let you broaden your horizons. Lin Ling's expression did not change as he spoke indifferently. After he spoke, the sword gate behind him jumped even more crazily. A second sword flew out. The golden crow and the others frowned. 2 swords? No, this was not the sword that Lin Ling had been using. Lin Ling actually had other swords? Swoosh. However, the third sword descended. The fourth sword. The fifth sword. Gradually there were 18 swords. These true inheritance dark swords hovered in the sky, cutting through the seawater and everything. A force that resembled the power of God permeated the air. It was as if the swords floating in the sky were not swords, but 18 gods. The power of God. Looking at the sharp swords in the sky, the golden crow and Wuxia's eyes narrowed. They suddenly felt suffocated. Chapter 33-43. Burning Ultimate Desolate Body. This meant that those swords were divine artifacts. However, Lin Ling was only at the half-sage realm. How could he summon divine artifacts? One had to know that the golden crow could summon the fishes of the dark north, but that was only a summon. It did not mean that these fishes belonged to him. This meant that he could not control the power of a god. However, Lin Ling could. How is this possible? How is this possible? The golden crow kept shaking his head. He suddenly felt that those swords were very familiar. Right, he had seen them with martial god Qilin. These swords seemed to be martial god Qilin's swords. However, his master martial god Wentian had once said that martial god Qilin could not control these swords, and neither could martial god Wentian. How can you control these swords? The golden crow could not understand at all. Because my world is not something you can understand. Lin Ling opened his arms as his long hair danced in the seawater. The 18 swords spewed out intense sword beams that slashed the surrounding seawater. Go! As Lin Ling pointed, the 18 swords appeared and slashed at the fishes of the dark north. Clanging sounds could be heard as the massive fishes of the dark north let out a sound that seemed to be a painful roar. Following that, blood began to dye the seawater red, blocking all vision. Not long after, the seawater emitted explosive sounds as though the fishes of the dark north had begun to retreat. When the seawater gradually became clear, the golden crow and the rest saw the endless fishes of the dark north floating in the seawater. There were countless sword wounds on their bodies. The fishes of the dark north had also been killed. As for the other fishes of the dark north, they had clearly retreated. Son of the demon, how about we end today's matter here? The golden crow's expression turned grave. He had underestimated Lin Ling. He did not expect Lin Ling to have such a trump card.
Furthermore, he wanted to tell his master that the true legacy dark sword was with the son of the demon.
End here. Lin Ling frowned. He had to pay with his life force to activate the true legacy dark sword. Now, the Golden Crow wanted to end it here? Did the Golden Crow think Lin Ling was a fool? If he could kill them, he would kill them. If he couldn't, he would stop here? I have the 9 heavenly eyes. If we really fight, it'll be a strenuous and unrewarding task for you. Furthermore, I can see that you need to pay a price to activate these divine swords. Therefore, we both take a step back. This is the best choice for you. The Golden Crow said again and stepped back quietly. If that's the case, then I have to thank you. However, my choice will not change. With a wave of his hand, Lin Ling controlled the 18 true inheritance dark swords and shot them at Jianghu. Jianghu and Wuxia's expressions changed drastically. It seemed that Lin Ling was determined to kill them. Add to the sea house. The Golden Crow immediately roared angrily. He opened his hands and controlled the endless sea to sweep the 18 true inheritance underworld swords. A portion of the seawater was drawn from the divine sea. A drop was as heavy as a mountain, not to mention that there was so much of it here. Crash! Crash! The seawater formed waves that looked extremely powerful. However, when the 18 true inheritance dark swords appeared, they slashed crazily as though 18 sword gods were brandishing their swords at the same time. The seawater was sliced apart into chunks that floated in the sky like huge ice cubes. What? The Golden Crow let out a horrified cry. His ultimate desolate physique was so weak. He suddenly regretted it. He should have killed Lin Ling from the beginning. He should not have given Lin Ling any chance. He should not have summoned the northern sea fish to make Lin Ling revere and fear him. This was because at that time, Lin Ling had also summoned the divine swords. Seeing the 18 sharp swords approaching, the Golden Crow's eyes constantly flickered. Wuxia, who was beside him, was scared out of his wits. If he knew this would happen, he would not have followed. Son of Demon, I'm heaven-seeking martial god's disciple. Do you really dare to kill me? The sea water beneath the Golden Crow's feet tumbled as he constantly retreated. At this moment, he no longer had the desire to capture Lin Ling alive. He only wanted to leave this place immediately and let his master or the new Heavenly Court's martial ancestor take action. He knew that he was no match for Lin Ling. It sounds scary, but I'm still going to kill you. Lin Ling moved with the 18 swords. He was as powerful as a sword as he forced the Golden Crow. If you kill me, you won't be able to live either. The Golden Crow was still retreating as he spoke solemnly. However, Lin Ling sneered. What a joke. If I don't kill you, do you think the new heavenly courts will let me off? You should keep such self-deceiving words to yourself. These words let the Golden Crow know that Lin Ling was determined to kill him. There was no way to stop him. Leave immediately. The Golden Crow did not waste any more words. He stepped on the sea and fled into the distance. You said before that I was running away. What are you doing now? Lin Ling's brows twitched when he saw this. A true inheritance, the nether sword, floated down and landed below his feet. He rode on the sword and chased after the Golden Crow. His speed had long since surpassed the Golden Crow by several times. In the blink of an eye, Lin Ling appeared before the Golden Crow and the Golden Crow. He stepped on his flying sword and was as graceful as an immortal. His eyes were filled with an unwavering murderous intent. They were cold and emotionless. What? The Golden Crow looked at the cold man in front of him as his heart thundered. Lin Ling was too fast. The Golden Crow, you didn't expect to die here, did you? You brought the new heavenly courts, the godly escort mansion, the Flame Emperor, and other experts to capture me. You thought that everything was under your control and that killing me would be as easy as flipping your hand. However, you didn't expect me, the son of demon, to have such a trump card. Lin Ling coldly stared at the Golden Crow. With a single thought, the 17 swords pointed towards the Golden Crow. The aura of these swords was even more terrifying than the scabbard. If the scabbard was filled with murderous intent and evil energy, then these swords could only be described with one word: sharp. Incomparably sharp. I really didn't expect this. The Golden Crow gritted his teeth after hearing Lin Ling's words. He really didn't expect this. If he knew all of this, he definitely wouldn't have come. Now that you know, die for me. Lin Ling's murderous intent surged.
He controlled his sword to kill the Golden Crow like a supreme sword god.
In your dreams.
However, since the Golden Crow was able to become the disciple of the martial god, he was definitely not a pushover. He roared and caused the ocean around him to boil. Then, a blue flame spread out and actually burned the ocean. A mysterious eye also appeared and stared at Lin Ling like a god's eye.
This was the real Neptune's eye.
Moreover, the eye of the sea god had actually started burning, and it was providing an extremely primal force.
You want to kill me? Dream on.
The moment the force was released, the Golden Crow's aura increased greatly. He knew that Lin Ling's activation of the divine sword would definitely have side effects. As for him burning the Neptune's eye, it was the same. The price was burning his ultimate desolate body. Hence, it all depended on who would fall first. This Golden Crow is really an expert that cannot be underestimated. No wonder the martial god Wentian took a fancy to him.
Chapter 3344. Heaven-Seeking Martial God.
To put it bluntly, this was also a mindset of cutting off all means of retreat. As for the Golden Crow, he had such a mindset.
Succeed or die trying.
However, could burning the ultimate desolate body block the legacy dark swords?
Shoo, shoo, shoo.
The 18 legacy dark swords attacked in a dazzling manner. They slashed apart the surrounding sea and shot towards the sea god's eye in front of the Golden Crow.
Walala!
Before they even got close, the 18 legacy dark swords began to burn. They were being burned by the strange flames. Upon seeing this, the Golden Crow finally smiled. This was because the sea god's flame was said to be a flame from the core of the divine sea. It had the dual attributes of water and fire, and was the absolute power of the divine sea. Lin Ling's swords would definitely be burned to ashes.
Crackle!
However, at the next moment, the 18 dazzling flaming swords shot out. They carried the mysterious sea flames and penetrated the sea god's eye.
What?
The Golden Crow immediately sensed that he had lost contact with the sea god's eye. This meant that his ultimate desolate body had been completely destroyed. He was completely dumbfounded. The ultimate desolate body was not something one could easily see in the end state, but now, it had been destroyed.
Son of the demon!
The Golden Crow let out an angry roar. He felt as though his heart was being stabbed.
Don't be so angry, because you will die with the sea god's eye.
However, Lin Ling let out a cold roar. He activated the 18 legacy dark swords and shot them at the Golden Crow. They penetrated his body and were unstoppable. To my legacy dark swords, your ultimate desolate body is nothing. The Golden Crow spat out blood as he heard Lin Ling's cold voice. He slowly fell to the ground as his eyes stared at Lin Ling. He died with grievances. He never expected that he, who was invincible in the Sage Realm, would be killed by the son of the demon, who was only at the first heaven of the Sage Realm. Suddenly, he understood why the son of the demon had agreed to his request so readily. The son of the demon wanted to wipe them all out. Unfortunately, he understood it too late.
Jianghu, where do you think you are going?
Lin Ling sensed that the life force in his body was disappearing faster and faster, but he immediately looked to the other side. At this moment, Jianghu maintained his posture of running away, but he did not dare to move. His forehead was full of cold sweat. He knew that he really shouldn't have come.
Lin Ling, spare my life.
He quickly turned around and knelt down in the air.
I will.
Of course, we're from the same sect, so of course I won't kill you. Lin Ling stepped forward and stood in front of Jianghu. Even though he was extremely weak, Jianghu did not dare to resist. Lin Ling's 18 swords had already made him lose the will to fight. As long as you don't kill me, I'll be your slave, your servant.
Spare me, spare me.
Jianghu kept kowtowing. The former #1 genius of the Grand Change Nebula sect had ended up in such a sorry state.
I want you to be my slave.
Lin Ling used the remaining Jie Yuan in his dantian and drew a boundary seal in the air. Then, he looked at Jianghu with a faint smile.
Let go of your soul.
I'm going to plant a slave boundary seal in your soul.
This.
Jianghu naturally knew what a slave boundary seal was.
You won't?
However, Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. He stared at Jianghu and made him nod immediately. Although he wanted to become Lin Ling's slave and let Lin Ling easily control his life and death, if he refused, he would die now. One choice was to die now, and the other was to become a slave.
As long as he was not a fool, he would choose the second choice. At this moment, he felt more regret than the Golden Crow. He was even more certain that he should not have come. Bang! Lin Ling slapped Jiang Wujia's chest and planted a slave boundary seal in his soul.
Then he strode away and said, "Bring the Golden Crow's body back."
Yes. Jiang Wujia felt a strange feeling in his soul. He could not think of resisting Lin Ling. Even his thoughts were clear to Lin Ling. This made him realize that he had completely become Lin Ling's slave. With mixed feelings, he carried the Golden Crow on his back and disappeared into the distance. As for Lin Ling, he put away the True Inheritance dark sword. His entire body immediately felt weak, as if he would fall into a deep sleep at any moment. This made him quickly take out all the treasures he had on him, refining them as he left to replenish his vitality. Compared to the last time, the side effects this time were indeed much smaller. However, if he had wasted more time, Lin Ling would be in more danger. Moreover, he was very weak now. Any cultivator could easily kill him. The Yen state is full of people from the new heavenly court. Before they get the news, I have to leave immediately. Otherwise, when they catch up, I will not be able to fight back. Lin Ling thought to himself. However, at this moment, he felt a strange fluctuation coming. The next moment, a palm landed on the sword gate behind him. Who are you? How can you control the True Inheritance, the dark sword? This fluctuation came without warning. Lin Ling could not detect it at all. Moreover, if the other party wanted to kill him, he could do it without anyone noticing. Lin Ling was shocked, but he quickly reacted. He quietly turned around and saw a tall man standing behind him. He was wearing a large blue cloak, which made it impossible to tell whether he was fat or thin. However, judging from the width of the cloak, this person's shoulders were very broad. Moreover, not only was his face long, but it was also somewhat thin. This gave him a cold and bone-chilling feeling. The most attractive thing was his eyes. They revealed a light that was indifferent to life and death. However, Lin Ling recognized this face. Moreover, he would recognize it even if it turned into ashes. This was because this man was from the Tianwen Valley. He was also the son of martial god Qilin, martial god Wentian. Do I know you? The man held the sword gate in his hand and suddenly said in a low voice. Lin Ling's eyes were very cold. Although he suppressed it well, his heart was still burning like a volcano when he met his enemy from his previous life again. It felt as if everything that had happened in his previous life had just happened yesterday. Every bit of it was engraved in his heart. The small valley in the past, the laughter that stood aloof from worldly affairs, and later, his physical body was taken away. His talent was taken away, and everything was taken away. All of these were the motivation for Lin Ling to become stronger. This is the first time we've met, Lin Ling said with a smile as he suppressed the killing intent in his heart. His words indicated that this was the first time they had met in this life. The man still looked at Lin Ling indifferently. His eyes seemed to be able to see through everything about Lin Ling. He thought of the space-time divine steel, which was a technique that his benefactor once used. Then he thought of the True Inheritance, the dark sword. Do you know Li Xiaoyao? The man suddenly laughed. No, I don't. Lin Ling laughed again. Oh. Chapter 3345. Clash of Gods. Would you like to come with me? The man put away the True Inheritance nether sword and smiled again. However, his amiable tone told Lin Ling that if he left, Lin Ling would definitely die. However, he did not seem to have the strength to fight back. Haha, it's not good to take other people's things. At this moment, a lazy voice was heard. An old hand appeared behind Wentian martial god and grabbed the sword gate. Then, a mysterious man wearing a large cloak walked out of the void. This sudden change shocked Lin Ling and Wentian martial god. Especially Wentian martial god, he felt that this person was stronger than him. Wentian martial god was shocked. In the land of the 9 continents, he was one of the 10 martial gods. Someone stronger than him appeared in the 9 continents. This person could only be one of the 4 legendary gods. However, why would the 4 gods appear here? My sister is Tian Lioli, Wentian martial god said calmly, as if he had mentioned it on purpose. What does that have to do with me? However, the mysterious man replied with a smile. Wentian martial god frowned. From this sentence, he could tell that the mysterious man was not one of the 4 gods.
Because, if the four gods heard the name Tian Lioli, they would definitely give him face. Little guy, I admit that you're strong. However, if we really fight, you'll be the one at a disadvantage. The mysterious man said calmly. Although his tone was calm, it carried a domineering aura. That might not be the case. Wen Tian martial god stared at the sword gate in the mysterious man's hand. His eyes flickered. Clearly, he was not willing to give it up. Then you can try. The mysterious person shrugged. This action caused martial god Wen Tian's expression to turn cold. He just stared at the mysterious person without saying a word. At this moment, the world fell silent. The two of them looked at each other quietly. It seemed like they did not make a move. However, Lin Ling knew that they were secretly fighting. Perhaps they were testing each other's auras. All right, I'll give you face. After some time, a gentle breeze blew by, causing martial god Wen Tian's hair to flutter. He smiled and left as if he was just a passerby. However, the mysterious man didn't say anything. He just stood quietly in the sky. Time passed like an hourglass. After Wen Tian martial god disappeared completely, the mysterious person still didn't move, and Lin Ling didn't move either. However, in the next moment, a rumbling sound was heard, as if countless bombs had been ignited. Boom! The ground of the entire Yen state cracked open. Cracks also appeared in the sky. Even the faraway Grand Change Nebula sect and various places in the Yen state could see the ground of the Yen state cracking open. The shattered sky fell to the ground like glass. Countless plants withered. Many demonic beasts and living beings in the Yen state knelt on the ground, their bodies trembling. Roar! After these terrifying changes, a huge ferocious demon head suddenly appeared in the sky. It was impossible to tell what kind of divine beast this demon head was, but it opened its huge mouth and roared at the Yen province. How terrifying! Rumble! The rumbling sound was transmitted into Lin Ling's ears. He felt that this was the first time Li Xiaoyao had heard such a sound. So powerful. Even if I was in my previous life, I'm afraid I wouldn't be a match for this mysterious person. Lin Ling was shocked. Was this the power of a god? One should know that the two of them didn't even fight before. It was just a clash of auras. However, the aura alone almost destroyed the Yen state. What if it was a real battle? The result would be unimaginable. Lin Ling didn't expect the mysterious person to be so powerful. Moreover, Wen Tian martial god didn't seem weak either. It seemed that when Li Xiaoyao reincarnated, Wen Tian martial god and the other's strength had greatly increased. It was a pity. If Li Xiaoyao still had this power, he would have become a god. While Lin Ling was still in shock, the mysterious person suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. This shocked Lin Ling. Was the senior injured? I'm fine. If I hadn't fought with that old man for a few years and got injured, that little guy wouldn't have been able to hurt me. However, the mysterious person waved his hand and smiled. Moreover, that little guy is even worse than me. Everything was as he said. When Tian martial god was walking forward in the distant sky, blood continued to drip from the corner of his mouth onto the ground. His face was deathly pale. Blood continued to drip from the sky, causing a bloody path to appear on the ground. Although it wasn't obvious, it was as dazzling as a blooming flower. If an ordinary person obtained this blood, they would be able to reach the heavens in a single step and become a peerless expert. This was the blood of a martial god. Wen Tian martial god was one of the top 10 martial gods in the 9 continents. He was injured, and it wasn't a light injury. I am Wen Tian. I can ask the heavens for 10,000 years, but I still can't touch the heavens? Just how many experts were hidden in the firmament of the 9 prefectures and the void of the universe? Wen Tian martial god. He realized that the secrets left behind by the era of gods weren't as simple as he thought. In the end, he also disappeared from the Yen state. At this moment, Lin Ling looked at the mysterious person and asked worriedly, "Senior, are you all right?" "I'm fine. But we have to leave immediately." "Yes." The mysterious person still waved his hand. He stretched out his right hand and formed a huge water droplet that enveloped Lin Ling. Then, he took Lin Ling and disappeared from the Yen state. Not long after, 2 figures mysteriously appeared in the sky. It was Lin Ling and the mysterious person. The water droplet outside Lin Ling's body exploded, causing him to look at the mysterious person in shock. "You kept your promise." "Yes." The mysterious person suddenly smiled and took off his hat, revealing an old face. Although this face was somewhat dignified, it gave Lin Ling a sense of familiarity. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu? Yes. Lin Ling's pupils constricted. Haha, of course it's me. If Xiao Yu didn't ask me for help, I wouldn't have been able to rush over. Senior. The old man looked at Lin Ling with a smile. Lin Ling quickly bowed because this senior had saved him twice, including last time. Moreover, he already knew that Nanwu Fengyu was very powerful but didn't expect him to be this powerful. When did you offend when Tian martial god? Although this guy is no match for me, he has a pretty good relationship with one of the 9 continents' 4 great gods. Nanwu Fengyu asked. It's a long story. I can only say that in this land of the 9 continents, there will be no one else. Lin Ling shook his head and didn't mention Li Xiaoyao's matter. Even though Nanwu Fengyu was familiar with him and was extremely powerful, Li Xiaoyao's matter was no small matter. To avoid unnecessary trouble, Lin Ling didn't want to mention it. Chapter 3346. The Great Netherwind Dragon. You killed martial god Qilin too? Nanwu Fengyu asked again. The news had spread throughout the 9 continents, so he had naturally heard about it. He was a little surprised. Although he had never met martial god Qilin, he knew that martial god Qilin deserved to be one of the top 10 martial gods of the 9 continents. Lin Ling nodded. It's really you. Nanwu Fengyu gasped. He sized up Lin Ling as if it was the first time he had met Lin Ling. He had never thought that the kid he had saved in the ancient Forbidden Forest would have such power. I didn't deal with it alone. It was the entire God Slayer alliance. Lin Ling explained with a smile when he saw Nanwu Fengyu's surprised look. Even so, you're still very powerful. It seems that I've underestimated you. Nanwu Fengyu shook his head. He had a feeling that this kid might be able to change the situation of the 9 continents. I have the soul of the great Netherwind Dragon. It's useless to me. Since you've seen it, I'll give it to you. Nanwu Fengyu stretched out his right hand and held a small green dragon in his palm. The dragon was covered in layers of wind vortexes. It looked extremely magical. Dragon God. Lin Ling's expression changed. He sensed that it was the true dragon god of the dragon tribe. Although it was not as powerful as his sky dragon, it was still extremely rare. He had dragon bones and cultivated the divine ability of the dragon tribe, so his bones were a sky dragon. What if he obtained the soul of the wind dragon? Haha, I got it from that old man. In fact, it was his mount. It was a mutated dragon god of the dragon tribe. However, a mere wind dragon of the dragon tribe dared to stop me, so I killed it. Nanwu Fengyu smiled and explained it as if it was a simple matter. However, Lin Ling knew that the intensity of the battle would be unimaginable. After all, the fact that the other party could use the great Netherwind Dragon as his mount proved something. Thank you, Senior. Lin Ling was not pretentious and hurriedly took it. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu smiled after seeing Lin Ling accept the treasure and said, Then I'll leave Xiao Yu in your care. Senior, don't tell me you don't plan to come back. Seeing this, Lin Ling was a little surprised. My old enemy isn't dead yet, and he knows that I've come out of Jiuzhou. He'll definitely keep an eye on me, so if he knows about you and Xiao Yu, he'll definitely attack you. You and Xiao Yu will stay away from me. It'll be safer. Nanwu Fengyu nodded and gazed into the distance. Lin Ling knew that this senior's opponent was absolutely no small matter. All right, I'll make a move first. Once you've recovered, go pick up Xiao Yu. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu didn't seem to want to stay here for too long. After tearing open the void, he entered and disappeared without a trace. Great Netherwind Dragon. On the other hand, Lin Ling looked at the azure dragon in his hand, his eyes shining with excitement. After experiencing this, he knew that he was still very weak, so he was eager to improve his strength. The great Netherwind Dragon could make his 5th Dantian no longer an attributeless Dantian, and his talent would be greatly improved. He never expected that this pursuit by the new heavenly court would turn out to be a blessing in disguise. He didn't know whether to thank the Golden Crow or not. After all, if the Golden Crow hadn't brought the experts from the Yen state, Lin Ling would still be in the Grand Change Nebula sect, and none of this would have happened. If I refine this great Netherwind Dragon into my 5th Dantian, my strength will definitely improve again. Lin Ling's gaze fell on the myriad realms.
He randomly found an ordinary realm and hid in it to cultivate. At this moment, the Yen state was still rumbling. The earth was breaking, and the sky was crashing down. It was like a catastrophe in the human world. Such power was something that many warriors had never seen in their lives. Their faces were extremely pale. It's just a pursuit of the son of a demon. Why did such a big thing happen? In the sky of the Grand Change Nebula sect, many people were still waiting for the result, but they were beginning to feel uneasy. This has nothing to do with the son of a demon. It's two different things. Maybe he just happened to encounter experts fighting. Wangu Ishiong said coldly. His words made many people nod. It made sense. After all, the son of a demon couldn't trigger such power that almost destroyed the Yen state. I guess the son of a demon must have been caught. Someone else said. It was an expert from the Divine Escort Mansion. Definitely. The son of a demon risked his life and took away the lives of many saints. However, the Golden Crow and the others have made their move. The exhausted son of a demon definitely can't block the Golden Crow's attack. Are you crazy? Even if the son of a demon was at his peak, he wouldn't be a match for the Golden Crow, let alone when the son of a demon is a dead dog. Your Excellency's analysis is right. I was wrong before. Everyone laughed. They didn't think highly of Lin Ling at all. They were all waiting for the Golden Crow to return and drag the son of a demon back like a dog. He's back. At this moment, someone suddenly shouted. The entire sky and earth fell silent as countless eyes looked into the distance. In the distant sky, a figure was quickly flying over. Moreover, he seemed to be carrying someone on his back. Caught him. Seeing this, many people's eyes lit up. The Divine Escort Mansion, the Wangu clan, the new Heavenly Court, and the Flame Emperor nodded in satisfaction. That looks like Jianghu, someone else said. As the figure got closer, the Tai ancestor couldn't help but laugh excitedly. So many people had gone to catch the son of a demon, but only 2 people had succeeded. One of them was Jianghu of the Tai Nebula sect. How could he not be happy? However, Jianghu, who was walking forward, was silent and didn't say a word. Many people immediately looked around him, but they found that other than the person on his back, there was no sign of the son of a demon. At this moment, all kinds of doubts arose in many people's hearts. What on earth had happened? Jianghu, where's the son of a demon? The Flame Emperor frowned and took the lead to ask. He's gone. He's gone far away. Jianghu looked at the crowd and said bitterly. Now that his soul had been planted with the slave enchantment, he couldn't betray Lin Ling even if he wanted to. Therefore, when he saw the looks of anticipation on everyone's faces, he felt that it was a great irony. He's gone? So many people went to catch him, but he escaped? Where's the Golden Crow? Why didn't he catch the son of a demon? Hearing this, many people frowned. This script was completely different from what they had imagined. This made them even more confused because the son of a demon shouldn't have been able to escape if the Golden Crow had made his move. The Golden Crow? He's dead. This is behind me. Jianghu smiled bitterly again. At the same time, he threw away the corpse on his back. The Golden Crow's corpse had been pierced by a sword and had died in an extremely miserable manner. This result was like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples. Even the Golden Crow was dead. Chapter 33-47. A nightmare. Everyone stared at the Golden Crow's corpse. Their expressions changed from anticipation to fear. They thought back to the time when the Son of Devil was fighting the 9th God bloodline. At that time, the Son of Devil had domineeringly said, "Who else wants to capture me?" Facts had proven that whoever went to capture the Son of the Devil would die. Looks like he was still hiding something when he defeated the 9-fold God's bloodline. The Flame Emperor, Wangu Ishiong, and the other martial progenitor realm experts had grave expressions on their faces after confirming the death of the Golden Crow. The Son of the Devil was truly difficult to kill. Now that he had escaped, it was the same as letting the tiger return to the mountain. Furthermore, the thought of the son of the demon's mysterious methods made them shudder even though they were martial progenitors. Oh no! While all sorts of feelings welled up in their hearts, Jianghu suddenly knelt down in the air and let out a cry of pain. His face was contorted as if he had suffered some great torture. Mercy, mercy! He kept kowtowing because the slave enchantment in his soul was destroying his soul. The reason for this was Lin Ling.
As long as the slave enchantment was planted, the master could turn the slave into ashes with just a thought. This was also the reason why the powerful slaves in the arena did not dare to resist. And Jianghu knew that Lin Ling had no intention of letting him go. He wanted him dead. Jianghu thought that as long as he became Lin Ling's slave, he would not have to die. However, he was willing to be a slave, but Lin Ling did not want him. His pained voice had undoubtedly silenced the crowd. Jianghu, what's wrong? The Tai ancestor shouted anxiously. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Jianghu stopped moving. He just knelt in the sky quietly. It was extremely strange. Dead. His soul was shattered by someone. The Flame Emperor was powerful, so he could naturally see that Jianghu's soul had dissipated. However, he guessed that this was the doing of the demonic sun. This meant that the demonic sun had purposely called Jianghu back to tell them that today's matter was not over yet. They're all dead. Looking at Jianghu kneeling in the sky, many people felt chills run down their spines. This kind of death was too strange. After all, Jianghu was an expert at the middle stage of the Saint Realm. Let's go. The Flame Emperor let out a low growl. There was no point in staying any longer, so he left with the remaining cultivators. He had a feeling that if he didn't kill the Devil's Son today, he would regret it in the future. They all failed. Looking at the people leaving one after another, the Tai old ancestor suddenly felt very uncomfortable. It was as if he had lost something. However, at this time, many people from the Grand Change Nebula sect left as well. What is the meaning of this? Seeing this, Tai old ancestor frowned. The disciples of Tai Nebula sect were following them? Sect leader, betraying the sect is very shameful, so we don't want to do such a thing. All the disciples stopped in their tracks and Zilong said indifferently. Then what do you mean by this? The Great Change Patriarch asked again. Let this matter fade away. We will all leave Tai Nebula sect. This time, it was Yi Lingtian who spoke. He shook his head and said, you can continue to treat us as disciples of Tai Nebula sect, or you can ignore us. However, we will never return to Tai Nebula sect. It was obvious that they wanted to leave Tai Nebula sect. However, they wanted to give face to Tai Nebula sect, so they didn't mention betraying the sect. Instead, they wanted to fade away the matter. After all, if all the disciples betrayed Tai Nebula sect, then Tai Nebula sect would lose face in Yen's state. Why? Tai old ancestor's face immediately turned ugly. He said indifferently, after you leave, you will never return. Isn't this equivalent to betraying the sect? I didn't expect you to be a bunch of ingrates. I was blind. Hee. Hearing this, everyone laughed. Zilong shook his head helplessly and said, Senior brother Lin Ling has made great contributions to Tai Nebula sect. The trip to Heavenly King Mountain made Tai Nebula sect famous in Yen state. However, when the enemy came, Tai Nebula sect betrayed him. Now, sect leader, you have the nerve to say that we are ingrates? That's right. When the enemy comes, it's the disciples who are betrayed. Then why do these disciples treat Tai Nebula sect as their own? Yi Lingtian also spoke. Do you think that we can stop the new heavenly court if all of us go out? Tai old ancestor laughed. His laughter was full of sarcasm. This time, the disciples didn't speak. They shook their heads and left one after another. Only one sarcastic sentence floated out. Of course, we don't expect the sect to fight against the enemy. However, at that time, even if the sect stands behind us, it's better than joining the enemy's camp. If we do that, our hearts will be bitterly disappointed. That sentence stunned Tai old ancestor. He frowned and looked at the people who left. For a moment, he couldn't refute. The members of the God Slayer Alliance laughed and left. Wangu Wuji, Sakura, and the others also temporarily followed the God Slayer Alliance. Of course, they also went to pick up Xiao Yu and the others along the way. Xiao Yu and Remnant Sword were just after images. They were still hiding in the Green Mountains. However, Xiao Yu didn't plan to leave with Sakura and the others. She wanted to stay in the Yen province and wait for Lin Ling. Sakura and the others were helpless about this. Although Xiao Yu had acknowledged them, she still treated Lin Ling like family. This was something that they couldn't do. Sakura and the others thought that Xiao Yu and the others were temporarily safe in the Green Mountains. They could only leave for the time being.
Sakura and the others left because the new heavenly court would keep an eye on them. If they didn't follow the God Slayer alliance, they would be in danger. Moreover, they could become stronger if they followed the God Slayer alliance. Xiao Yu, Linling is fine. Once the limelight passes, he will definitely come looking for you. During this period, you just need to hide in the Green Mountains. Before leaving, Sakura exhorted. I know. Xiao Yu replied with a smile. Of course, she knew that Brother Linling would be fine. When the new heavenly court came looking for Brother Linling, she had secretly asked her grandfather for help. Her grandfather also said that he was free. Therefore, Xiao Yu knew that Brother Linling would be fine. Brother Linling will definitely come looking for us. After Sakura and the others left, Xiao Yu looked at the sky and said, Lord will definitely come. Beside her, the young man nodded. At this moment, Linling was hiding in a small world in the eastern region. While he was cultivating, he was also raising his cultivation realm. In the ancient sea, huge sea demons would pass by from time to time. Linling sat cross-legged at the bottom of the bottomless sea. A tornado appeared around his body, enveloping him and separating him from the seawater. Chapter 3348. A Breakthrough in Strength. At this moment, Linling's fifth dantian had an additional color. It was a turquoise dantian. His boundary essence was the same color. Wisps of wind wrapped around his dantian like threads, forming a powerful force. This fifth dantian was originally a very ordinary dantian. This also meant that by relying on the boundary essence of this dantian, Linling was only an ordinary first heaven sage. But now, this dantian had begun to transforming into a desolate physique. The great nether wind dragon was the abnormal dragon god of the dragon race. It controlled the great Tao of wind and had the deepest understanding of wind in the universe. Rumble. As the dantian continued to transform, monstrous waves finally appeared in the depths of the sea. Those sea demons that passed by were all swept to death by the waves and strong winds. It was terrifying. At the same time, a powerful aura spread out from the sea, causing all the sea demons to lie motionless, their bodies trembling. Obviously, they sensed that there was an extremely terrifying existence in the sea. Rumble. With a final roar, the sea began to calm down. In the whirlpool of the sea, a figure stood there quietly, his blue robe drifting with the waves. Second Heaven Sage. I didn't expect the great nether wind dragon's soul to allow me to successfully raise my realm. The young man smiled faintly. With the help of the great nether wind dragon's soul, Linling had successfully entered the second heaven sage realm. Moreover, all 5 of his dantians were the same. Other than the dragon's soul, Linling had been constantly devouring treasures. Those treasures were taken from the hands of Saint Realm experts. Of course, what made Linling happy was that his 5th dantian was no longer an attributeless dantian. His talent had reached the 7th grade and it was a wind attribute talent. He had the wind dragon's soul. Not only did this dantian increase his boundary essence, it also allowed Linling's speed to increase once again. Currently, he relied on his own speed to reach 200 world speed. If he used the wind and rain myriad world technique, he could reach 300 world speed. What kind of concept was that? It could be said that other than someone at the peak of the sage realm or someone with an ultimate desolate body that was good at speed, no one could catch up to Linling. The 5 dantians are the world-swallowing beast, the sky dragonbone, the space and time divine steel, the Taiyu wind dragon, and the thunder dantian. 3 of the dantians are in the barren body category. 1 dantian is the ultimate barren body. Other than the thunder dantian, it is the most ordinary. Linling smiled confidently. Everyone else felt that he was very powerful in fighting above his level, but who knew how strong his hidden trump card was? After all, if any one of these trump cards were possessed by any one of them, that person would be an extremely powerful saint stage expert, let alone when all of them were gathered in Linling's hands. I was lucky this time. If not for the fact that the Golden Crow's defense isn't that strong, the true inheritance dark sword would have taken a lot more effort to kill him. At that time, my life force would have been consumed even more, and it would be difficult to make up for it. Thinking of what happened not too long ago, Linling was secretly feeling lucky. Now, the true inheritance dark sword was once again on his back. It was given to him by treasure god Nanwu Fengyu. I don't know how long I've been in seclusion this time. I'd better go pick up Xiaoyu immediately. Moreover, the Yen State incident should have died down by now. Lin Ling shot towards the sky above the sea.
In less than a breath's time, he reached the sky above the sea and looked into the distance.
Eh! Suddenly, a strange scene in front of him attracted Lin Ling's attention. It was a colorful cloud layer. It was beautiful, like an illusion. Scattered cultivators gathered around the clouds.
They seemed to be very curious, but they didn't dare to enter rashly.
What is this? It's so strange. Lin Ling couldn't see through the 5-colored clouds either, so he walked forward. What is this? I don't know. Maybe it's a divine tomb left behind by the ancients, or maybe it's a secret realm. The people around him spoke in 2s and 3s. It seems that this is a secret realm. However, such a secret realm appeared in this world? Lin Ling also stopped around the cloud layer. His eyes lit up. Sir, what nonsense are you talking about? Why do you think this is a secret realm?
An old man saw that Lin Ling was young and immediately said with disdain.
However, Lin Ling did not pay attention to them. He continued to investigate the mysterious colorful cloud layer.
Then, with a smile, he stepped into the colorful cloud layer.
You're courting death.
Everyone. The reason why they did not dare to enter was because they felt that the colorful cloud layer emitted a powerful majesty. That was why they did not dare to enter. Now, that young man actually dared to enter?
At such a young age, his cultivation was probably not even at the World King realm. He was really courting death. In their world, the strongest was only at the martial immortal realm. Half-saints and saints only appeared in legends. Dead? I think he's definitely dead.
Yes.
The old man with the strongest cultivation laughed in schadenfreude. At this moment, Lin Ling entered the colorful cloud layer.
What surprised him was that his soul force seemed to be sealed.
He could not see through it at all. He could only move forward along the colorful cloud layer. He had a feeling that this kind of mystic realm would appear randomly. It could appear anywhere in the 9 prefectures or the 10,000 worlds. After an unknown period of time, a hot aura spread out. After passing through the clouds, Lin Ling discovered that there was a yellow land in front of him. Yellow sand danced in the air. The most important thing was that this place was extremely hot. This kind of heat had already surpassed the limits of the World King realm and even the martial immortal realm.
This place is extraordinary.
Yes. Lin Ling's pupils condensed.
He carefully looked again and suddenly felt a familiar aura.
This aura came from his Sky Dragon Bone Dantian and Supreme Nether Wind Dragon Dantian.
The aura of the Dragon God.
Yes. Lin Ling muttered to himself.
He was even more aware of the extraordinariness of this secret realm.
This secret realm is very suitable for my dragon bloodline. However, it's better to pick up Xiaoyu now. I'll come back later. I hope this secret realm won't disappear. After quietly looking for a moment, Lin Ling turned around and left. After all, if he were to explore the secret realm, he didn't know how long it would take. That was why he wanted to pick up Xiaoyu. After passing through the colorful cloud layer again, Lin Ling appeared in the sky above the sea after a long time. The group of people was still discussing something.
One of them shook his head and said, "It's been so long.
That idiot from before should be dead. We don't know whether to enter or leave this secret realm."
However, just as he finished speaking, he saw a blue-robed youth appear in front of the colorful cloud layer. This time, everyone was astonished.
This secret realm is not something you can enter.
Lin Ling glanced at them and then said,
he didn't want too many people to enter the secret realm.
However, his words were true.
It was just that his cultivation realm was too high. It surpassed everyone's vision, so no one thought of him as a powerhouse. If you say so, then so be it. Chapter 3349. Back again. However, there were some people who were more polite.
They cupped their hands and said, "Sir, what's inside?"
"Why do you say that?" "The temperature inside is very high. The temperature is beyond what you can bear. Therefore, unless you're a martial immortal, you'll definitely die inside. Moreover, even martial immortals need to consume energy to withstand the temperature. If you run out of energy, you'll also die."
Lin Ling looked at the person who spoke because his words were very polite and courteous.
"Thank you." The person who spoke was a woman. She said gratefully, "Haha, you're so powerful. Why aren't you dead?" The others had disdainful expressions. Lin Ling didn't bother to explain. If these people wanted to die, then so be it. In my opinion, that person is trash. He's trying to mislead people. He wants to take all the treasures in the secret realm for himself. Even martial immortals can't stop him. What a joke. There are only 5 martial immortals in our world. They're the legendary gods. That guy spoke as if he's seen a martial immortal before. However, Lin Ling didn't care about the mockery of those ants at all. That was because he and those people were from 2 different worlds. Therefore, he left with large strides. Wait, did I allow you to leave? However, at that moment, a cold voice sounded. It was the old man who first spoke. As for Lin Ling, he continued walking as if he didn't hear it. How dare you? If you don't tell me what's in the secret realm, you won't be able to leave here today. The old man frowned and suddenly became angry. That was because Lin Ling was ignoring him. He took a step forward and a powerful aura erupted. It caused the water of the sea to soar into the sky. It was extremely terrifying. Who is that person? The other people's expressions changed greatly. They knew that the old man was very powerful. However, they didn't expect him to be so powerful. Controlling the sea. Could it be that he's one of the 5 legendary martial immortals with 100 great bloodlines? What? A martial immortal expert is hiding among us? Many people's hearts trembled. Martial immortal, that was the first time they'd seen one in their lives. It had only appeared in legends. Martial immortal? The woman who had been extremely polite to Lin Ling covered her mouth. She knew that the blue-robed young man was in trouble. The old man's strength was indeed terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he appeared behind Lin Ling and grabbed out with his big hand. However, at this moment, Lin Ling finally stopped in his tracks. He turned around to look, and his eyes were filled with coldness. Boom! With merely a glance, the martial immortal level old man hidden within the crowd felt as if his heart was about to shatter. What a frightening gaze! What a cold gaze! Pop! Pop! At the same time, the surging ocean water was cut into pieces by a force. It was wind, a powerful wind. Even the water was cut apart. How could people not sense how terrifying this power was? Yes, sorry. The old man's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Only now did he realize how terrifying this young man who was younger than him was. Killing martial immortals would be as easy as chopping vegetables. Scram! Lin Ling shouted in a low voice. I was wrong. The old man knelt down in the air and left while kneeling. Lin Ling shook his head. He did not bother with these weak people. He took a step and instantly disappeared. With his current strength, he would not even bother to attack a sage-to-be, let alone a mere martial immortal. What a fast speed! Teleportation? Seeing Lin Ling suddenly disappear, people felt suffocated. This time, they did not dare to enter the 5-colored clouds again. That was because they believed that senior's words. He's actually such an expert. The funny thing is that we thought he was an ant-like existence. Fortunately, he didn't kill us. It seems that he doesn't care about us. With our strength, I'm afraid he doesn't care about us at all. After everything returned to normal, everyone said with mixed feelings. As for that secret realm, they would never dare to touch it again. At this moment, Lin Ling was heading towards the Yen province. His speed was extremely fast. After half a day, the miracle continent appeared in front of him. Who's there? Just as Lin Ling was about to enter the Yen province, a cold shout suddenly sounded. Several figures blocked in front of Lin Ling. These people were all in the sage realm. Furthermore, they were wearing armor and looked extremely dignified. If you have something to say it. However, without the existence of the ultimate desolate body, Lin Ling obviously did not care about them. Furthermore, these people blocked his path, which made him a little unhappy. Do you have the identity to enter the Yen province? If not, scram immediately. If you're caught, you'll become a slave. The leading man said indifferently as he stared at Lin Ling. He felt that Lin Ling gave him a sense of familiarity. So that's how it is. Lin Ling nodded in realization. This was indeed the rule of the Yen province. Without identity, no one was allowed to enter the Yen province. In the past, it was because of this reason that Lin Ling had gone to the Grand Simplicity Nebula sect to obtain the identity of a Grand Simplicity Nebula sect member. However, at that time, Lin Ling was seeking refuge, so he kept a low profile. Now that Lin Ling's identity had been exposed, there was no need for him to keep a low profile. So what if I don't have an identity? Lin Ling smiled and strode towards the Yan province, appearing incomparably domineering.
This was because he knew that these people were the Flame Emperor's men. He would not give any face to the Flame Emperor.
How dare you?
No one expected this young man to be so insolent.
He left as soon as he said he wanted to, completely ignoring them. Stay. Someone attacked. His Jie Yuan was extremely huge, and he did not show any mercy when he attacked.
This was because the Flame Emperor's order to deal with such people who did not abide by the rules was to kill without mercy.
Kill me. Lin Ling continued to walk forward. The tyrannical Song sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed fiercely. Swoosh.
Blood spurted out and bloomed in the void of the universe.
He killed that person with a single slash.
He's so strong.
The other people's expressions changed drastically. The person who had attacked earlier was a level 5 saint, but he could not block a single slash. This young man's strength was too terrifying. Your Excellency, you have extraordinary courage. All right, you can go in. We won't stop you, but let me remind you that once you enter the Yan province, you'll never be able to come out. The remaining people sneered and put their hands behind their backs. They did not stop him because they knew that people like Lin Ling would not live long after entering the Yan province. This person is arrogant, but he gives me a very familiar feeling.
It's as if I've seen him somewhere before. One of the men was still frowning, as if he was recalling something.
Why bother? He's just a dead man. Even if he doesn't die, he's still a slave. A person next to him said mockingly.
However, as soon as he finished speaking, another sword slashed at him, causing a deep sword mark to appear on his neck. After that, he slowly turned around and discovered that the young man who'd left earlier had actually returned.
Moreover, the young man was holding a huge sword. It was very cold, as if he'd come from the depths of hell. You! He pointed at Lin Ling and wanted to say something, but in the end, his head fell off. He was dead. Chapter 3350. Reclaim the interest. Lin Ling smiled as he walked forward. His smile was extremely cold, and his words shocked those people. They did not stop Lin Ling, who knew that Lin Ling wanted to kill them all. This kind of arrogance was beyond imagination. Die! Unfortunately, Lin Ling did not give them time to think. The demon sword's murderous aura gushed out and took their lives. I remember now. You are the son of demon. The last person finally remembered who Lin Ling was and where he had seen him before. Finally, there is a smart person. As a reward, I will spare your life.
Go back and tell the Flame Emperor that I, the son of demon, did not provoke him. If he dares to provoke me, then wait for my revenge.
Kill. Lin Ling cut off that person's arm and then disappeared on the spot. That person rubbed his broken arm, his face extremely pale. He had long heard that the son of demon was extremely frivolous.
Today, he saw that the reputation was not undeserved.
Because not long ago, the son of demon was being hunted down. However, in such a short period of time, he came to the Yan state again. Was this not to tell the Flame Emperor that he, the son of demon, could go wherever he wanted? Even the God Emperor could not stop him. In the sky of the Yan state, Lin Ling's figure appeared, passing by at the speed of 200 worlds. Not long after, under the silent green mountains, Lin Ling appeared. As soon as he appeared, Xiao Yu and the others noticed him.
Brother Lin Ling.
Sir. Xiao Yu, Afterimage, Broken Sword and the others were all overjoyed. They knew that Lin Ling would come, but they did not expect Lin Ling to come so soon. Xiao Yu. Seeing that Xiao Yu was safe and sound, Lin Ling also smiled excitedly. He shot to the ground and then picked Xiao Yu up. This time, Brother Lin Ling owes you a life again. Hugging Xiao Yu, Lin Ling said gratefully in his heart. Hee, I was just trying my luck. Who knew that Grandpa would be free? Xiao Yu said with a smile. Then she asked about Grandpa. Lin Ling also told her about the story, making Xiao Yu miss Grandpa very much. Sir, your luck is really good. You actually escaped this catastrophe. Afterimage, on the other hand, looked at Lin Ling with gratification. Ever since he had followed Lin Ling, he had personally witnessed Lin Ling created countless miracles. And now,
He realized that Lin Ling's strength had gradually surpassed his from being weaker than his. Although luck is a part of one's strength, it's not good to always rely on luck. After all, luck will run out one day, Lin Ling said with a smile. He looked around and asked, "Where are my brothers?" After image quickly told him everything that had happened after Lin Ling left. Big Brother, Meng Lu, Wangu Wuji, and the others have all joined the God Slayer Alliance. That's great. The God Slayer Alliance has been traveling around the 9 prefectures all year round. We can also gain experience by following them. Moreover, with their addition, the God Slayer Alliance's strength has greatly increased. After hearing everything, Lin Ling nodded his head in satisfaction.
Sir, are we going to the God Slayer Alliance now? After image asked hastily.
However, Lin Ling shook his head and said, "There's a place that we must go immediately.
If we miss it, we might not be able to find it again.
So let's go there first."
All right.
The few of them nodded and followed Lin Ling out of Green Mountain.
This time, the new Heavenly Court, the Flame Emperor, and the Divine Weapon Mansion have joined forces to capture me. They are Lin Ling's enemies. Since they made the first move, we can't just swallow our anger. As they passed by an ancient city, Lin Ling stopped in his tracks and looked down calmly. Sir, you mean to teach them a lesson?
I'll go. Savage Sword, who had been silent all this while, licked his lips and shot toward the city below.
Kill only the Flame Emperor, the new Heavenly Court, and the Divine Weapon Mansion.
Forget about the others,
Lin Ling instructed. Savage Sword had been on the brink of death many times. He had a violent temperament and was ruthless. He was very suitable to be an assassin. Although his strength was only at the first heaven of the Sage Realm, he could kill late-stage Sage Realm experts because of his assassination techniques. Of course, the premise was that the other party was not prepared. If they were prepared, Savage Sword's methods would be greatly reduced. After Savage Sword landed on the ground, he immediately started to inquire about the situation. As an assassin, he was very good at gathering information.
In the end, he transmitted his voice to Lin Ling and informed him that there were people from the Divine Weapon Mansion in this city.
Kill them all. Lin Ling immediately responded coldly. Lin Ling knew that he had no grudges with the Divine Weapon Mansion. However, the other party had captured Lin Ling for no reason in order to curry favor with the new Heavenly Court. Therefore, Lin Ling would not give him any face. The Divine Weapon Mansion was an escort agency that could be found all over the 9 prefectures. As long as one had money, one could submit a mission here and the agency would complete anything for them. However, today, the agency had encountered an assassin. A cold and ruthless assassin who killed people like scything flax. In the short time it took for an incense stick to burn, a large number of people had died in the agency. This caused the agency to be in chaos because they did not expect that someone would dare to assassinate them in broad daylight. After more people had died, the experts from the escort agency finally reacted. Now that they were on guard, Savage Sword's methods were obviously suppressed. Sir, why do you want to kill us? I know you're hiding in this city, but this is our territory. You can't escape even if you have wings. The strongest escort in the agency seemed to have taken control of the entire city as he shouted coldly in the city. The entire city was as if they were facing a great enemy. Moreover, all of them were furious. Killing people in their territory was looking down on them. However, at this moment, the dragon god roared in the sky. An oppressive atmosphere enveloped the entire ancient city. This also caused everyone's attention to be focused on the sky. There was a huge dragon bow in the sky. The dragon god's arrow was aimed at the city from afar. The fatal dragon god's arrow undoubtedly caused the people of the Divine Weapon Mansion to tremble in fear. This was because they had long heard of this arrow. According to legend, this Buddha god's arrow was the method that made the son of the devil famous. However, the son of the devil had just escaped not long ago. Now, he had returned? This was too shocking. It could be said that he did not play by the rules. That's right, I am the son of the devil. In the sky, Lin Ling sneered, telling everyone that he, the son of the devil, had returned. Boom! The dragon god's arrow immediately exploded on the ground and swept through the ancient city. At the same time, Lin Ling put away the dragon bow and left with a few people. As for the ancient city behind him, it had already turned into ashes. That domineering scene told everyone that the son of the devil was not someone to be trifled with. In the past, he could destroy gods, and today, he could also kill enemies. Rumble. The ancient city rumbled continuously. Those who were still alive were pale as if they had seen a demon king. What happened here was only the first example. In the following days, Lin Ling destroyed all the cities or sects that he passed by, as long as they were related to the Flame Emperor, the new heavenly court, and the divine weapon mansion. Moreover, it was a domineering destruction. Every injustice had its perpetrator, and every debt had its debtor. Lin Ling did not attack anyone else, but he was extremely ruthless against his enemies. The entire Yen state was in a state of panic. The son of the devil had returned. Chapter 3351. Rainbow World. What? Lin Ling is back? Naturally, the Flaming Emperor received the news. Everyone was furious, especially the Flaming Emperor. He knew that Lin Ling was trying to intimidate him. The new heavenly court also received the news. Even Wenti and Martial God knew about Lin Ling's return. However, he didn't act rashly. Lin Ling might have destroyed Yen province, but he disappeared quickly. It would be hard to find him in a short period of time. Secondly, Wenti and Martial God was still wary of Lin Ling's mysterious companion. He's back. The most surprised person was none other than Patriarch Tai Yi. Moreover, the entire Grand Change Nebula sect was terrified. In the past, they had betrayed Lin Ling and thought that Lin Ling was dead for sure. Who would have thought that Lin Ling was still alive? Moreover, he had come back to ask for revenge in front of countless experts in the Yen province. Sect leader back then, we betrayed Lin Ling. That didn't seem like a good decision. Some of the elders found the old master Tai Yi and chuckled bitterly. Patriarch Tai Yi stood there in a daze, at a loss for words. This was because he had thought that Lin Ling was dead for sure. That was why he had handed over Lin Ling. At the same time, he could gain the favor of the experts of the new heavenly court. But now, instead of gaining the favor, the Grand Change Nebula sect had lost the most precious thing. He. When he thought of this, the Tai Yi Patriarch laughed helplessly. Unfortunately, when the Yen province was in chaos, Lin Ling had already left and once again came to the world with a mysterious rainbow. A couple of figures stood quietly on the calm sea. Their eyes were looking into the distance. There was a large cluster of rolling rainbow clouds. It was beautiful and extremely mysterious. Young master, could that be the legendary rainbow world? Do Afterimage stared at the rainbow clouds and his expression changed. Rainbow world. Upon seeing this, Lin Ling couldn't help but become curious. Even though Li Xiaoyao had traveled all over the 9 continents, the universe was extremely vast. Naturally, there were places that Li Xiaoyao didn't know about. As an assassin, Du Kening more or less knew some things that Li Xiaoyao didn't know. It sounds like a dreamlike place. A smile appeared on Cruel Sword's cold face. He was extremely curious about the rainbow world. As for Xiao Yu, she was clapping her hands. The little girl was undoubtedly very fond of beautiful things like rainbows. However, Do Kening shook his head and said, "This is one of the 7 great forbidden lands of the 9 prefectures. It is not a dreamlike place." 7 great forbidden grounds? Lin Ling's expression immediately changed. Currently, he knew of the 7 great forbidden lands. There was the 8 gods' heavenly palace, the everlasting forbidden forest, and now there was the rainbow world. According to legends, the rainbow world can appear anywhere in the 9 prefectures. Moreover, it can disappear and reappear at any time. Most importantly, it is not a void, but a real world. It is a new world that is different from the universe. Do Kening explained. Young master should also know that there are many independent voids in the universe. However, no matter how mystical they are, they still belong to the universe. Unknowingly, they are also controlled by the universe. Cultivators cultivate to comprehend the great Tao of the void. Whoever controls the great Tao is the master of the universe. The reason why the gods of the past were powerful was because they controlled the great Tao of the universe. However, this great Tao has no effect in the rainbow world because that world doesn't belong to the universe. This also means that even if you are very strong in our world, when you go to that world, your strength will be weakened. In the past, many people have encountered the rainbow world. Those people thought they were strong, but after entering the rainbow world, they all died, killed by the people inside. Only a few people came out alive, and they spread the news of the rainbow world. Hearing this,
Lin Ling and the others sucked in a breath of cold air.
A world that doesn't belong to the universe? Although, what kind of power is in the rainbow world?
Lin Ling couldn't help but ask curiously. Hearing this, Do Kening bitterly smiled and helplessly shook his head. I have only heard of the rainbow world. At this time, Remnant's sword pointed forward and said, Sir, those rainbow clouds are gradually disappearing.
Should we go in?
The originally beautiful rainbow began to dim at this moment, changing into the appearance of white clouds. This made Lin Ling have a feeling that if it completely turned into white clouds, it meant that the rainbow world had disappeared.
But should they go in?
Since it is one of the 7 great forbidden areas, and it is very difficult to see, then let's go and explore. In the end, Lin Ling made a decision because his goal was also to roam freely in this world. If he was afraid of a forbidden area and didn't dare to enter, it would be inconsistent with Lin Ling's martial heart.
Let's go.
Under Lin Ling's lead, Do Kening and the others also hurriedly followed. The rainbow in front of them continued to change. Lin Ling and the others passed through the white clouds, but these clouds had already become ordinary clouds, and there were fewer and fewer clouds with rainbow colors.
Speed up.
Lin Ling let out a low roar and shot into a 7-colored cloud in front of him.
Do Ying and the others quickly followed closely behind.
When they appeared again, they were on a red land.
It was a little different from the last time Lin Ling came here.
There was no desert, but the surroundings were extremely lonely as if there was no one around.
Woo woo woo.
Only gusts of hot wind blew by from time to time, causing flames to occasionally rise from the red land.
It looked extremely magical.
It was very hot here. The temperature was so high that it made people feel as if they were in a furnace. This rainbow world is actually so hot. Remnant's sword quickly covered his body with boundary essence and then looked ahead solemnly. Hee. Different worlds naturally have different laws and great daras.
Lin Ling smiled.
Previously, when he heard Do Kenying's words, he was also a little afraid of the rainbow world. However, after entering, that fear disappeared without a trace. Instead, there was a feeling of curiosity and anticipation. Moreover, he sensed that there was a strange suppression in this world, as if boundary essence was being suppressed here. It seemed that this was caused by the different laws and great daos of the 2 worlds.
Let's go.
Lin Ling had 5 great dantians, so he also wrapped Xiaoyu with boundary essence and held her hand as they walked forward. After getting familiar with it, it doesn't seem to be so stressful. Hee, the rainbow world is making me more and more curious.
Do Kening smiled and also followed Lin Ling.
As for Remnant's sword, he was still cold, but the corners of his mouth curved into a smile as he strolled forward. As a warrior, he was the same as Lin Ling, hoping to travel to every corner of the world. However, he was a slave in the past, and his life and death were controlled by others, so he didn't dare to have such extravagant hopes. But now, he followed a good master, and his master didn't treat him as a slave.
This was his fortune. Chapter 3352. Caravan.
The few of them stepped on the red earth and slowly moved forward. They were also chatting and laughing. This red earth had layers upon layers of red earth pillars. Under the floating air formed by the heat waves, it was as if there were giants hidden in the distance. Lin Ling and the others walked for half a day, but they still did not see anyone. Moreover, because of the occasional flamestorm, they lost their way and could only walk randomly. The flamestorm formed by the desert was even more terrifying than the hot wind. Lin Ling had a feeling that even if he was swept into the flamestorm, he would still be injured.
Brother, I'm a little hungry. Where are we going now?
Xiaoyu was filled with curiosity at first. However, the surroundings were all red earth and she began to feel bored.
Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled bitterly.
He did not know where to go now. Young master, look, there are people over there. Suddenly, Broken Sword pointed into the distance and said, on the lonely land, a caravan was moving along the ground. From afar, there were about 100 people.
Let's go take a look.
Seeing this, Lin Ling could not help but smile. Finally, he met people. Then, he led Xiaoyu and the others towards the caravan.
Who is it?
Before they got close, a cold shout was heard. The voice seemed to shake the ground. Obviously, the person who spoke was not weak. Lin Ling immediately slowed down his pace. With a polite smile on his face, he slowly walked over. At least those people did not have to be so nervous. Moreover, he also relaxed a little. Because through that person's words, he knew that in the Rainbow Realm, at least the language was the same. He just did not know what their path of cultivation was. The caravan was riding on a rhinoceros-like monster. This monster had a large amount of resources hanging on it. It looked like it was a mount. The people on the monster also jumped down one by one. Bang bang bang. What surprised Linling was that after they jumped down, the ground actually made a dull sound. Young master, it's very strange. I can't sense any realm essence from them. However, their strength is not weak. Do Kening immediately transmitted his voice, causing Linling to nod. Who are you? Those people surrounded Linling and the others, as if they were facing a great enemy. Their skin was a little green, but other than that, they were no different from ordinary humans. While they were sizing up Linling's group was also sizing them up. Seeing Linling remain silent, one of the 2-meter-tall men took a step forward and grabbed at Linling with his palm. If you don't want to talk, then don't blame me for being rude. With this grab, surging astral winds swept out, looking extremely ferocious. How dare you? When he saw this, Cruel Sword attacked as well. He couldn't just watch as others attacked Linling because it was an insult to him. A cold light flashed. Broken Sword's Tao of Killing had already grasped the essence of afterimages, so it was extremely sharp. Clang! However, when the dagger struck the man's arm, it actually emitted the sound of metal colliding, and green scales silently appeared on the man's arm. It was the scales that had blocked the dagger. What? This also caused Cruel Sword's expression to change. He was at the first level of the Saint Realm, and his fatal attack was actually blocked? You're courting death. On the other hand, the man's face turned cold. His huge fist struck towards the broken sword. However, at the critical moment, another dagger arrived and blocked the fist. What was even more frightening was that the sharp dagger was actually unable to cut open the man's fist. The person who attacked was Du Ying, and at this moment, he was also shocked. Because the other party didn't have any boundary essence, but he was so strong. It seems that this world is different from our world's laws and great Tao. Boundary essence is suppressed to an extremely weak state, and although that man doesn't have any boundary essence, his physical strength is extremely strong, reaching the power of 300 boundary essences. Linling roughly saw through the battle. While Du Ying and the others were shocked, the people of the caravan were also shocked because these people were very thin and seemed to have no strength at all, but they actually blocked the fist of their caravan's #1 warrior. This was too unbelievable. Stop! At this moment, a low shout sounded, and then a man wearing a beast skin cloak slowly walked over while holding the hand of a little girl. Captain! Looking at the man, many people bowed. The man waved his hand, and his gaze fell on Linling and the others. In his opinion, these people weren't strong. Perhaps the old man was stronger, but he didn't know what he cultivated. He didn't look strong, but he was able to block the fist of their caravan's #1 warrior, Sen Gu. They aren't the Dragon King's men. Everyone, put down your weapons. The man said indifferently. Then, he looked at Linling and said, This young master should be from the city. Oh, I don't know why you say that. The other party was a little polite, and Linling immediately smiled. I see that your skin color is different, and you seem to be very unfamiliar with Yuximo, so I guess that. The man said with a smile. In fact, he was very sure that these people were definitely from the big city, because they seemed to know nothing about everything. The old man and the young man seemed to be the guards, and the young man and the little girl should be the young master. Maybe you're right. Hearing that, Linling smiled and nodded. He didn't explain anything. After all, it wasn't important. We got lost here, so we wanted to ask you for directions. We didn't know that such a small conflict would happen. Linling said. Lost. The man was even more certain that Linling and the others were the young masters of the city. The others also smiled. At least these people weren't enemies. The burly warrior apologized to Du Kening and the others, but Du Kening and the others shook their heads with a smile, obviously not caring. Head south. We'll be out of Yushi in about 3 days. We're heading in that direction, so let's go together. Perhaps because he saw that Linling and the others weren't a threat, the man said politely. Most importantly, he realized that his daughter and the little girl beside the young man seemed to hit it off. The 2 little girls were already exchanging glances. Linling naturally saw Xiao Yu's expression, so he smiled and nodded. My name is Amoza, And this is my daughter, Amoza Lin. Lin Ling, this is Xiao Yu, Old Du, and Qin Jian. The two sides roughly introduced themselves, and then they walked together. Lin Ling, I see that you're quite bold. You dare to bring two people to Yuximo. I'm impressed. Ha ha. Hee hee, it's my first time here, so I'm a little reckless. Ha ha. Chapter 3353. Shilong. Hee hee, your luck is not bad. You did not meet the Shilong. Otherwise, things would be troublesome. After chatting for a moment, the tallest warrior of the caravan suddenly laughed. Shilong. Hearing this, Lin Ling became curious. Big brother, I know what Shilong is. They are the Dragon King's men. They are extremely famous in Yushiland. All the caravans that meet them will be robbed. Moreover, I heard that the Dragon King likes to eat people and especially children. Therefore, in Yushiland, Shilong is also a demonic existence. Hee hee. Arimo Lin suddenly said with a smile. She looked extremely innocent. She had two little braids. Although her skin was green, it could be seen that this little girl would definitely grow up to be very beautiful. At this moment, she is hugging a little white rabbit that Xiao Yu gave her to play with. She obviously treats Xiao Yu as her best friend. Eat people? Xiao Yu blinked her big eyes. Yes, all the children in Yushiland have been captured by the Shilong. I heard that they have been offered to the Dragon King. Hee hee. Asholin said with some lingering fear. This caused Xiao Yu's face to turn pale. Rumble. At this moment, the earth suddenly shook. The sound was deafening. Looking from afar, one can see a large group of lions rushing over. When they get closer, one can see that these lions are extremely tall. All of them are over 3 meters tall. Moreover, some of the lions have 2 heads. As for the people above the lions, their skin is brown. There is a thick mane around their necks. Their mouths are bigger than ordinary people, revealing their shining fangs. Damn it, Yushiland God did not protect us. What did he say and we are here? Hee hee. Looking at the dusty earth, Amoza's face changed greatly. This is the Shilong. Hee hee. Lin Ling narrowed his eyes. His 10,000 elephant devil eyes quietly appeared to investigate these Shilong. This made him realize that these Shilong are even more powerful. Most of them have the power of 500 realms. The strongest one has the power of 600 realms. If these people were placed in the primal chaos of the universe, they could easily destroy a world even if they didn't have boundary essence. As for the strongest person, even the afterimages were no match for him, unless the afterimages returned to the universal void. Amo's caravan. A large group of lions stopped in the surroundings and took all of the treasures of the 100-man merchant group. That surging aura caused all of the mounts of the merchant group to lie down, not daring to move at all. This was why the merchant group had not run before. Their mounts did not dare to move and could not escape at all. Roar. On the contrary, those lions roared at the sky, their voices like 100 thunderbolts bombarding the ground. Haha, you must be the RMO caravan. Impressive, you didn't inform us when you passed through Yushi. You must be trying to get away with it. A deep voice rang out with a hint of mockery. The one who spoke was a rather young male lion's son. Ha ha ha, I think the RMO caravan is looking down on our Shilong. Yo yo yo, the RMO caravan has become stronger, no longer afraid of the Dragon King's power. The people around them laughed and waved the weapons in their hands, causing the lions to roar continuously, causing the mounts of the merchant group to tremble in fear. Noble Lord Lion Lin, please forgive our ignorance. We would rather give you 90% of the goods we brought this time as a tribute to the Lion King. I hope Lord Lion Lin can forgive us this time. Amoza's face was pale as he jumped down from his mount and bowed as he spoke. Clearly, he knew who the man in the lead was. He was the third son of the Shilong Lion King and was extremely famous in Yushi because he was extremely brutal. Ha ha ha. The man named Lion Lin laughed at the sky again. You are quite smart. However, you have deceived us and the Dragon King, so you have to pay something. Is this your daughter? Offer her to the Dragon King. No, no. Amoza's face changed drastically when he heard this. You mean no? However, Lion Lin's face turned cold and his words carried a cruel and merciless aura. This made Amoza dispirited. He could not resist this group of people at all. 3 days later, I will go to your RMO caravan.
Your goods and the little girl must be handed over. None of you are allowed to escape. If even one escapes, I will devour your caravan.
Lion Lin laughed again and led the lion caravan away in a grandiose manner.
Gazing at the dusty ground, the merchant group's faces turned incomparably pale. They had been targeted by the Shilong.
Father. Amoza's eyes were moist as she looked at her father.
She had long known that the Dragon King loved to eat children. Every child who was captured had never returned alive.
Amoza!
Amoza hugged his daughter and could not help but cry. He was worried about leaving his daughter in the caravan, so he brought her along.
Who knew that something would happen in the end?
Leader, why don't we leave the caravan and not go back?
At this moment, the strongest warrior in the caravan said.
If we don't go back, more people will die in the caravan.
Amoza smiled bitterly and shook his head.
Besides, where can we go? His words made everyone's faces turn gloomy. Amoza then looked at Lin Ling and said, Looks like we can't send you back. You can leave on your own. However, those lions said that none of us are allowed to escape. If one of us escapes, he will devour your caravan. If we leave, won't we be harming you?
Lin Ling looked at Amoza and said,
There's no other way. You probably don't know that Lord Lion Lin was also watching your daughter. If you don't leave, your daughter will also suffer. Amoza advised. He thought that Xiaoyu was Lin Ling's daughter. Hearing this, Lin Ling was a little surprised. He did not expect Amoza to still be concerned about Xiaoyu at this time.
Go as far away as you can.
Amoza did not wait for Lin Ling to speak and led the caravan forward again. Lin Ling, Xiaoyu, and the rest stayed where they were, looking at the back of the caravan. However, Xiaoyu tugged at Lin Ling's sleeve.
Brother Lin Ling.
Lin Ling could tell that Xiaoyu wanted to help Amoza. This made him smile immediately. Aren't you afraid of being eaten by Lord Dragon King? At the mention of this, Xiaoyu's face turned pale. Clearly she was afraid. However, thinking about the new friend she had just made, she shook her head stubbornly.
Xiaoyu, I'm not afraid.
Chapter 3354. Shima's Strength.
All right, let's go help him.
Lin Ling glanced at Do Ying and the rest before riding his mount and chasing after the caravan.
Why aren't you leaving?
Sensing a voice behind them, the caravan immediately stopped. Amoza looked at Lin Ling in astonishment.
We are lost again.
Lin Ling helplessly spread out his hands and asked, What is this Shilong and Lord Dragon King? Shilong is one of the 8 strongest tribes in Yushiland. It is on par with Hawkwolf tribe, Sand Crocodile tribe, Blood Scorpion tribe and many others. They all worship Lord Dragon King and the Lion Dragon King is very strong. He possesses 10 Shima's strength.
Amoza immediately explained.
Shima's strength?
Lin Ling pondered for a moment before looking at the strongest warrior of the caravan and said, Then he should possess 5 Shima's strength.
That's right. He is our strongest warrior and possesses 5 Shima's strength.
Amoza nodded.
This made Lin Ling come to a realization. 1 Shima's strength was equivalent to 100 world strength. The Lion Dragon King's strength was 10 Shima's strength, which represented 1,000 world strength. However, Lin Ling possessed 1,200 world strength. I will go back with you because Xiao Yu is reluctant to part with Amoza. Thinking of this, Lin Ling smiled.
This made Amoza extremely puzzled as he asked doubtfully, Xiao Yu will be in great danger after we return.
This is Xiao Yu's choice. Therefore I have no choice. Lin Ling said helplessly. Amoza looked at his daughter and Xiao Yu holding hands tightly. In the end, he did not refuse and led Lin Ling and the rest forward again. Along the way, they finally walked out of Yushiland. However, although there was no red soil in front of them, it was still a vast desert. Hot winds whistled in that place and it did not look like a place for humans to stay. That's the Dragon King's territory, the Demon Desert. Lin Ling nodded. The first time he entered the Rainbow World, he saw a desert. Moreover, he sensed a familiar power in the desert. It seemed to be the power of the Dragon God. Could it be that the Dragon God was related to the Dragon King? Without saying anything else, Lin Ling followed Amoza forward again. Along the way, he glanced at Xiaoyu and saw that the relationship between Xiaoyu and Amo Lin was getting better and better. The 2 girls were holding hands, chatting and giggling from time to time. It was as though they had completely forgotten about the danger from before. Seeing this, Lin Ling also smiled. Xiaoyu had been with him for so long, and she had finally met someone of the same age. No wonder she was smiling so happily. We're here. When night fell, the caravan finally returned to the main caravan.
As far as the eye could see, bonfires were rising to the heavens in front of them.
Sounds could be heard from time to time, and there were tents set up there. It seemed like there were quite a few people there. This large caravan of ours is made up of more than 10 caravans.
They are extremely united and are under the control of an old merchant leader.
Amoza explained.
Amoza, you're back.
A voice came from afar. Following which, a large number of people walked over. Upon closer inspection, other than the difference in skin color, their other characteristics were similar to Amoza and the rest.
The leader was an old man.
He wasn't tall, but he was extremely sturdy. His beard was also very long, reaching the ground. Presumably, this was the old merchant leader. Old merchant leader. Bad news. In 3 days, the Shurlong will be here. Amoza recounted what happened along the way. This caused the originally happy people to turn gloomy and worried.
The Shurlong had his eyes on them. This was their nightmare. Send all the children in the tribe to somewhere far away immediately.
The old merchant leader said sternly to the crowd. Following which, he looked at Amoza with resentment.
You've provoked the devil and brought the devil into the caravan.
I'm sorry. Amoza hurriedly apologized. However, the crowd looked at them with resentment and didn't appreciate it at all. Humph. Do you think an apology is enough? You've caused the death of the large caravan.
In my opinion, we should chase them away and let them face the Shurlong.
That's right, that's right. Many people said coldly. They were formed by more than 10 caravans. Amoza's caravan was only one of them. Naturally, they didn't want to be implicated by Amoza's caravan. Upon hearing those voices, Amoza's face immediately turned ugly. Previously, the Shurlong also came to the large caravan. However, his caravan didn't abandon these people and stayed with them through their trials and tribulations. Many of their goods were robbed, but at that time, he didn't say a word.
However, now that he was in trouble, these people were blaming them?
What nonsense are you talking about? Our large caravan is united because we don't want to be devoured by the devil. Now that Amoza's caravan is in trouble, how can we abandon them? However, at this moment, the old merchant leader shouted angrily.
At the same time he said to Amoza coldly, "Come in."
Since the old merchant leader had spoken, the other caravans could only remain silent. Following which, the caravans entered the large caravan one after another. However, there was no doubt that the large caravan today wasn't as joyous as before. As the night grew darker, a few captains appeared in the old merchant leader's tent and looked at him. I know why you're here. You want to chase away Amoza's caravan, right? However, you're too naive. Shurlong has already said that he'll be back in 3 days for Amoza's caravan. If we chase away Amoza's caravan, how will the large caravan report to the Shurlong?
The old merchant leader closed his eyes and said indifferently.
His words made the captains come to a realization, and they could only accept reality in the end. In these 3 days, hide your goods as much as you can. Also send the child away. The old merchant leader said again.
What about Amolin?
A captain asked. This little girl provoked the devil in the desert. She should be the one to bear the devil's wrath. We must send her away. In these 3 days, keep an eye on Amoza and don't let him send his daughter away. Also, don't let him hide his goods. Oh right, among the people Amoza brought back, there's a little girl.
Keep an eye on her and send her to the Devil Lord.
Yes. The captains nodded and left the tent one after another. At this moment, under the night sky, the large caravan was extremely quiet. Lin Ling and a few others were staying in a tent. In front of them were all kinds of roasted meat and fine wine. The large caravan seemed to be extremely polite to them and gave them all kinds of delicacies. Lin Ling looked at Xiaoyu and Amolin who were eating happily and couldn't help but laugh. Young master, we're being watched. However, at this moment, Do Kening let out a low voice. He obviously sensed something. I know. A piece of roasted meat appeared in Lin Ling's hand. He took a bite and replied with a smile. Cruel Sword heard Lin Ling and Xiao Yu's conversation and secretly investigated. He immediately discovered that there were a few people quietly walking around outside the tent. They seemed to be watching the tent. His face instantly turned cold. What's the meaning of this large caravan? Why are they watching us?
It should be that the large caravan doesn't want to pay any price, so they're using us to pay so that the Shilong won't blame them.
Lin Ling smiled faintly, but his smile was a little cold. Watching? Chapter 3355. Surveillance. If Lin Ling wanted to leave, who could stop him? The reason he stayed behind was because he wanted to help the innocent RMO Lin. Moreover, RMO Jia treated them warmly. This was also one of the reasons why Lin Ling returned.
However, the other merchants were not as righteous as RMO Jia.
Especially the old merchant leader, he clearly intended to sacrifice himself to protect the caravan. Needless to say, the old merchant leader did have the boldness of a leader, and he was able to consider the overall situation and protect the caravan. However, there was no enmity between Lin Ling and the caravan, so wasn't the old merchant leader being too heartless if he were to sacrifice him just like that? Moreover, did the old merchant leader think that Lin Ling was a fool? Still ignoring the people outside, Lin Ling and the rest ate and drank in the tent. Listening to the sound of the wind and sand outside and looking at the two little girls playing, Lin Ling and the rest felt extremely relaxed. Lin Ling. However, at this moment, two figures appeared outside the tent. After greeting them, they walked in. It was RMO Jia and the rest.
After RMO Jia walked in, he immediately scanned the outside of the tent carefully before saying in a low voice, "Lin Ling, follow me later and leave this place.
The old merchant group has sent away all the children. I can see that he wants to send Xiaoyu to Shilong.
Yes, we'll leave quickly tonight under the cover of the night."
The other person also spoke and looked out of the tent from time to time, as if afraid that they would be discovered. Lin Ling and the rest were still eating meat. When they heard that, they could not help but be surprised.
They did not expect RMO Jia to specially inform them.
What will happen to you if we leave? What about RMO Lin? Why don't I bring her along?
Lin Ling looked at RMO Jia and said. He did not expect this man to be so honest.
If RMO Lin leaves, the large merchant group is dead meat.
RMO Jia sighed and shook his head.
Don't tell me you want to sacrifice your daughter for the sake of the large merchant group? Moreover, you also saw how the people of the large merchant group treated you. Lin Ling said again. Upon hearing this, Amoza fell silent as if he was hesitating about something. Obviously, he knew about old Xianxia's actions, but he couldn't do such a thing to leave.
For a moment, he could only look at his daughter and shake his head stubbornly.
Father, I won't leave. I want to follow you. Although RMO Lin knew what had happened, she still stubbornly looked at her father. The father and daughter immediately hugged each other. All right, you guys can go back. Whether we leave or stay, we'll decide for ourselves. Seeing this, Lin Ling sighed softly. He somewhat admired Amoza's loyalty, but he did not interfere with Amoza's decision. Amoza tried to persuade him again, but seeing that Lin Ling didn't seem to mind, he had no choice but to leave with his daughter. Lin Ling continued to accompany Xiaoyu. When Xiaoyu gradually became sleepy, he carried her on his back and left. Staying here and being monitored by others made him feel very uncomfortable. Therefore, Lin Ling did not plan to live in a tent. Who's there? They had just walked out when a voice sounded from outside. Moreover, a few burly men walked over and smiled. Guests, where are you going at such a late hour? Although their words were polite, there was also a hint of dominance. We've just eaten, so we'd like to walk around and exercise our bodies. Lin Ling smiled and replied indifferently. Yushi is extremely dangerous at night. For your safety, you'd better return to your tent. If anything happens to you, we won't be able to answer to Captain Amoza. The few men were still smiling, but they had already extended their hands to stop Lin Ling and the rest. No need, we can take responsibility for ourselves. However, Lin Ling also sneered. Sai, why do you have to make things difficult for us? Since that's the case, please forgive us if we've offended you. Under the night sky, the few men's smiles suddenly became ferocious. Clearly, they wanted to use forceful means to stop Lin Ling and the rest from leaving. Of course, I'll forgive you. Lin Ling's eyes also became cold, and an invisible force spread out. Scram! Under the dark night sky, the huge shadow of the realm-swallowing beast appeared. Its huge mouth opened, and the men trembled and fell to the ground in fright. So scary, what was that?
With their knowledge, they had never seen such a terrifying demonic beast. You've overestimated yourselves. Lin Ling carried Xiaoyu on his back and walked past the few men, disappearing into the night sky.
Who are these guests? Are they demons?
The few men's faces were still pale, but they quickly thought of something, and their faces changed drastically. Then, they quickly went to inform the old Shang leader.
At that moment, the old Shang leader was just about to go to sleep.
At that moment, the few men anxiously came and told him what had happened.
What? You let them escape?
Do you know that if they escape, the Shilong will definitely want more things? He might even take his anger out on us. Our caravan will suffer. The old Shang leader immediately said angrily. The few men lowered their heads, not daring to look at the old Shang leader. Only one of them said, I don't know what sorcery he used, but he suddenly showed us a huge monster. We were all scared. You've all been fooled.
I've seen those people.
Without the power of Shima, they are not warriors at all. The old Shang leader paced back and forth, his beard dragging on the ground, and his eyes were extremely cold.
We can only sacrifice Amoza. Hopefully, he will hand over all his goods. This will appease the Shilong.
Yes, old Shang leader.
We will keep an eye on Amoza.
The night sky was still calm, but the caravan obviously had a sleepless night. On the other hand, Lin Ling and the rest were relaxed. After leaving the caravan, they started a fire under a red pillar and rested just like that. In this merciless world, the strong are respected. The strong may seem domineering and ruthless, but in reality, the weak are extremely shameless. Perhaps this is the pitiful side of a pitiful person. Do Kening thought about what happened before and couldn't help but sigh. Sir, let that ugly caravan die. Kanjian said coldly. Kanjian, with the young master's temper, I'm afraid he will still return to the caravan after 3 days.
Do Kening smiled and looked at Lin Ling.
A wine bowl appeared in Lin Ling's hand, and he drank heartily. Then, he wiped the corner of his mouth and said, Old people still know me well. Kanjian's expression immediately changed and asked, Sir, are we really going to save those hypocrites? Lin Ling shook his head. I'm saving Amoza and the rest. As for the caravan, their life and death has nothing to do with me.
Sigh.
He, Lin Ling, wasn't a saint. In addition, after practicing martial arts for so many years, what kind of people hadn't he seen? It could be said that even if he saved the caravan, those people wouldn't be grateful to him. Therefore he, Lin Ling, didn't need to be so magnanimous. Of course, other than saving them, I'm also very interested in the Dragon King.
Lin Ling said again.
I heard that the Dragon King is the god of all the tribes. I wonder how strong he is and what kind of existence he is.
Sir. Chapter 3356.
3 days have passed. Lin Ling looked into the distance and shook his head. I don't know the Dragon King's strength, but I'm sure that he's from the Dragon Clan. He's an existence similar to the Dragon God. I sensed his aura the first time I came here, so I'm very curious about him. At present, Lin Ling possesses the Heavenly Dragon's bones and the Great Nether Dragon soul. In fact, he already has the bloodline of the Dragon Clan. However, he has never seen the legendary Dragon Clan. Therefore, this was the reason why he stayed behind. I wonder how Yu and the rest are doing. The night gradually quieted down. Lin Ling looked into the distance and thought of his family in another world. Ever since he went to Yen province, he rarely saw Yu and the rest. Yu and the rest did not blame Lin Ling because they knew that Lin Ling was making his way in the outside world. He wanted to become stronger. Only then could their home be more peaceful. 3 days passed quietly without anyone noticing. Early in the morning, the temperature of the entire Yushi continent rose. Flames rose from time to time in this lonely world. Compared to the temperature in the distance, the people of the large merchant groups were also burning with anxiety. They were waiting for the arrival of the Shilong. They did not dare to escape. Because if they did, the consequences would be even more severe. Unless they decided to never live in Yushi continent. Still not coming? The old merchant leader frowned and said, Father, don't worry. The Shilong will come. Now, we just need a Moses merchant group to endure their anger. Beside him, a burly young man laughed. He was topless and had a beast tooth hanging from his neck. He looked extremely powerful. His name was Emogoline, the son of the old merchant leader. Looking at the merchant groups again, they saw that all the merchant groups had surrounded a Moses merchant group. Everyone was looking at a Moses merchant group with a strange look. It was a look of discrimination. It was as if a Moses group was a virus and they would be in danger if they went near them. However, they surrounded a Moses group and did not let them escape. Moses naturally noticed these strange looks. He felt as if his heart was being sliced by a knife. Sometimes, death wasn't scary. Instead, it was the looks of discrimination that were the scariest. Those looks could invisibly kill. Escape. Their Moses merchant group had never intended to flee, otherwise, they wouldn't have returned a long time ago. But even so, the caravan didn't believe them at all. Bang bang bang. At this time, the earth began to shake. Dust flew in the distance as a large number of ferocious beasts rushed over from afar. Their roars soared into the sky. That was the roar of a lion, causing the mounts of the large caravan to lie down and tremble all over. In just a short while, a large number of lions arrived and surrounded the entire caravan. Their murderous aura was extremely dense. Roar! Those lions' eyes were filled with blood. After roaring, they went to devour those mounts. No one dared to move as they watched their mounts being eaten. They could only cast resentful gazes towards Moses and the others because they believed that this was all Moses' doing. They did not blame Shilong at all. Perhaps it was a deep-rooted belief that they were killed and devoured. This was a matter of course. Great caravan, we haven't been here for a year, ha ha ha. The leader was a lion king that was twice the size of a lion. A burly young man sat on the lion king and laughed heartily as he spoke. Noble Lord Lion Lin, you haven't been here for more than a year. In order to make you happy, we have also prepared food for you. The old merchant leader immediately walked out and bowed as he spoke. Ha ha ha, old merchant leader, you're smart, you're very smart. Lord Lion Lin's gaze swept across the caravan and he frowned. He didn't see many children and this made him very dissatisfied. The old merchant leader sensed Lord Lion Lin's gaze and hurriedly said, the children and goods that Lord Lion Lin asked for last time have all been prepared. We only hope that Lord Lion Lin will be happy. Our caravan is willing to serve you for the rest of our lives. After speaking, he looked towards Moses' side and his expression turned cold. Why aren't you greeting the noble Lord Lion Lin? The people of Moses' caravan were filled with despair. But at this moment, Lord Lion Lin shouted, wait, why is a little girl missing? And where are those people we saw last time? Why can't I see any of them? Hearing this, the expressions of the people of the caravan changed drastically. Their gazes towards Moses and the rest were filled with resentment. The old merchant leader hurriedly said, our caravan is incompetent. We hope that Lord Lion Lin will forgive us for allowing them to escape. However, in order to make up for our mistakes, we are willing to hand over the entire Moses caravan and make them slaves to serve the Shilong for the rest of their lives. At the end of his sentence, he bowed and stood up. The Moses caravan raised their heads and their eyes were filled with anger. Their leader had handed over his daughter and goods out of guilt. But who knew that in order to appease Lord Lion Lin's anger, the caravan would hand them all over and make them slaves. It felt as though they were supposed to sacrifice themselves for the caravan. Old merchant leader. Moses roared, his eyes turning red. His sense of belonging to the great caravan had finally dissipated completely. You have to bear the consequences of your own mistakes. However, the old merchant leader replied expressionlessly. You are a devil, a complete devil. 3 years ago, the Blood Scorpion tribe came and the caravan was in trouble. We did not leave and stayed with the caravan to survive. 2 years ago, the Hawk Wolf tribe massacred the caravan and half of our Moses caravan died. We fought against the Hawk Wolf tribe together with the caravan. Now, the caravan has betrayed us. Moses roared angrily. What happened in the past is in the past. People have to look forward. The old merchant leader said coldly and did not even look at Moses. Ha ha ha. When Lord Lion Lin saw this scene, he could not help but laugh out loud. He liked to see the internal strife of the caravan. This showed their dignity even more. What a shameless old man. However, at this moment, an untimely voice sounded, causing the caravan to fall silent. In the distance, several figures slowly walked over, passing by the lions, causing them to calm down. It's you. When the old merchant leader saw this, his expression changed. It was the same for Moses and the rest.
Lin Ling and the rest had returned? But why did they come back?
Weren't they sending themselves to their deaths?
Haha, I remember you. I didn't expect you to come back again and even bring a little girl back.
Very good, very good. Lord Lion Lin was still laughing.
2 little girls. This was a good harvest and could make the Dragon King happy.
Then he said coldly, Old merchant leader, go and capture that little girl.
Yes, sir.
The old merchant leader nodded immediately and looked at Lin Ling and the rest.
Guests, you shouldn't have come back. Now that you're back, I can't help you anymore.
Mogulin, go and bring that little girl over.
Chapter 3357. Submit to me.
Brat, hand him over.
The old Shang clan leader's son immediately walked towards Lin Ling and the others. His eyes were extremely cold, and even contained a hint of killing intent. It was these few pieces of trash that almost caused Shilong to vent his anger on them. Now, these pieces of trash still had the nerve to come back? He was courting death. Let me remind you that Xiao Yu is my daughter. Not to mention handing her over, even if she loses a single strand of hair, your caravan will be buried with her. At this moment, Lin Ling stopped, stared at the burly man and sneered. Shameless boasting. Mo Gulin roared. These people were about to die, but they still dared to be stubborn. He stomped his feet on the ground, causing the ground to crack. Scales appeared all over his body as he reached out to grab Xiao Yu. Crash! As he moved out, the hot winds seemed to have been swept away, causing the large merchant group to cheer repeatedly. Mo Gulin was the #1 warrior of the large merchant group. His strength was indeed formidable. Bang! His fist also landed on Lin Ling's head, raising a cloud of dust. Lin Ling! Amo Jia, Amo Lin, and the others immediately shouted. Lin Ling was dead for sure after being hit by the Mogulin. Ha ha ha, we can't. Mo Gulin maintained his posture of punching out, but he laughed excitedly. Then, he retracted his fist and tried to grab Xiao Yu. However, to his surprise, the little girl beside him was just looking at him calmly. Moreover, the old man and the youth beside her were also looking at him calmly. These people were actually not afraid? Mo Gulin was surprised. You'd better not touch her. Otherwise, you'll know how to write the word death. At this moment, a cold voice sounded in front of him. The caravan instantly fell silent. Everyone saw that the thin young man was standing there quietly, as if he wasn't injured at all. Some people even noticed that he didn't even take a step back. He could be said to be completely unscathed. However, Mo Gulin possessed the power of 6 Shima. How is this possible? The arrogant smile on Mo Gulin's face disappeared. In its place was a wave of shock. Boom! He punched out again, smashing onto Lin Ling's chest, causing the earth to tremble slightly, and dust flew into the air. However, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lin Ling did not take even half a step back. He only stared coldly at Mo Gulin. This left everyone, including Mo Gulin, dumbfounded. Because Lin Ling clearly didn't have Shimo's power, but how could he not die? It seems like you've turned a deaf ear to everything I've said. Lin Ling continued to stare at Mo Gulin as he spoke coldly. That gaze finally caused Mo Gulin's heart to tremble violently. Although he did not know what had happened, he felt that this young man was very frightening. Since you want me to die so badly, then I'll send you to hell. Lin Ling stretched out his palm and gently slapped out. That palm strike caused Mo Gulin's expression to change drastically, and he hurriedly retreated. However, with his strength, if Lin Ling wanted to kill him, how could he escape? Bang! The sound of a watermelon shattering rang out. Under countless gazes, Mo Gulin's head exploded from Lin Ling's palm strike. Blood and brain matter splattered everywhere. Ah! After a moment of silence, cries of alarm rang out from the large caravan. They never thought that this skinny young man would be so powerful that he could kill Mo Gulin with a single blow. Mo Gulin had previously thrown 2 punches, but the young man was unscathed. The difference between them was too great. Who was this young man? If they knew that not only did Lin Ling look down on Mo Gulin, but he also looked down on Shilong, who knows how they would feel then? He's that powerful? At this moment, the members of the Amoza caravan felt that everything was unreal. After all, Lin Ling had always been by their side. They simply could not feel that Lin Ling was that powerful. What a good-for-nothing. Old merchant leader. I'll give you a chance. Capture that little girl. Otherwise, all of you will die.
Lord Lion Lin continued to roar with laughter, as if he was not worried at all.
Du Kening and the rest immediately shook their heads.
This leader of the Shirlong was also a good-for-nothing. He simply could not see through Lord Lion Lin's power.
Go, go, go. Capture that little girl.
Hearing Lord Lion Lin's words, old merchant leader's heart immediately trembled. Although he was surprised by Lin Ling's power, he was clearly more afraid of Lord Lion Lin.
Old merchant leader. Let me. A man who was 2 meters tall and wielded a giant hammer walked out. He was also a leader of the caravan.
Although he was not the strongest warrior of the large caravan, he was extremely experienced in battle.
Ataizhan, how dare you attack? Amoza immediately roared. As a fellow leader, he naturally knew how powerful the man was. Unfortunately, the man only sneered at him and ignored him. Rumble.
The man dragged the giant hammer and pounced towards Lin Ling. The seemingly giant hammer was as light as a sword in his hand.
This also showed how powerful he was. Howling winds swept across the sky. Above Lin Ling's head, a giant hammer came crashing down ferociously. Speed. Atiashan's speed was even faster than Mo Gulin's.
In addition, with such a heavy hammer, if he was hit, he would be seriously injured even if he did not die. However, as the giant hammer got closer and closer to Lin Ling disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already above Atiashan's head. A palm gently slapped down from the sky. This change undoubtedly shocked the large caravan. That thin and weak youth was also so fast? Even Du Kening and Broken Sword were secretly surprised. Because in this world, Jie Yuan was greatly suppressed, so even if they were to face such a warrior, they might not be able to win. However, Lin Ling easily dealt with the enemy. Bang! It was still a light palm, but it carried a terrifying power that was difficult to detect. Boom! Atiashan's head exploded. Moreover, the palm did not stop. It landed on the giant hammer and actually smashed it, shocking everyone. Everyone was stunned. Although Mo Gulin was stronger, he lacked battle experience. Therefore, it was understandable that he had lost. However, Ataizhan had been the leader of the caravan. He had probably fought thousands of battles, big and small, but he had still been smashed to death by a single palm. This time, not only the large caravan, but even Amoza and the rest could sense how terrifying Lin Ling was. Such ants, no matter how many of them come, will die. Lin Ling's body appeared once again. With his hands behind his back, he looked indifferently at the large caravan. Plop! The old merchant leader was so frightened that he fell to the ground. His face was pale. At this moment, his heart was pounding like thunder. He had actually sent people to monitor such an expert. Was he crazy? You have some ability. Now, I'll give you a chance. Submit to me and hand over that little girl, and I'll spare your life. However, at this moment, Lord Lion Lin smiled faintly. He seemed to have taken a liking to Lin Ling and wanted Lin Ling to be his subordinate. After all, it was rare to meet such a powerful warrior. Submit to you? You think you can do that? Chapter 3358. Blood flowed like a river. It seems that if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know what it means to be the god of the great earth Yuxamo. Men, capture him and humiliate that little girl. Lord Lion Forest laughed disdainfully and waved his right hand. Roar! 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 The surrounding lions began to roar, their auras soaring into the sky. Although Lin Ling had defeated the warriors of the large merchant caravan, the large merchant caravan was as weak as an ant to them. Therefore, they did not think much of Lin Ling. Young man, you have some ability. However, come and test it out with me, Lai San. A lion with long fiery red fur pounced towards Lin Ling. This guy actually possessed the power of Kixamo. Of course, this was also borrowing the power of the lion. At this moment, the lion was like a huge bull that wanted to smash Lin Ling to death. Wherever he passed, all the rocks were smashed apart. It was terrifying. The most shocking thing was that he was charging towards Lin Ling. If Lin Ling dodged, then Xiaoyu and the rest behind Lin Ling would definitely suffer. This showed how vicious this person was. He was forcing Lin Ling to take his attack. However, Lin Ling still had his hands behind his back and did not move. Instead, he gently extended his palm. This shocked everyone.
Lin Ling, what was he doing? Boom. At the same time, the lion brought the strong warrior and crashed into Lin Ling, causing a violent shockwave. However, when the dust settled, everyone saw that Lin Ling was still standing quietly. His palm was still extended and he blocked the lion with his palm. Moreover, he did not retreat at all. Looking at the 5-meter-tall lion, its head was lowered as it resisted Lin Ling's palm. Its 4 limbs were galloping, but it could not move Lin Ling at all. Die, beast! Lin Ling looked at the lion indifferently and made the huge lion look at him. The lion actually began to tremble. Boom! Lin Ling punched out, and it was as if he had smashed apart a meteor. Under countless gazes, the lion and the expert on its back were actually blasted apart with a single punch. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, shocking the heavens and earth. Everyone in the caravan was so frightened that they fell to the ground. Even the people in Shilong felt their hearts pounding wildly. Kill him! Lord Lion Forest finally realized that this young man was somewhat extraordinary. Bang bang bang! The surrounding lions began to gallop. Hundreds of lions weaved back and forth, trampling a large number of people to death. They swept up the dust and surrounded Lin Ling. Kill! Earth-shattering noises rang out as the lions roared incessantly. They did not believe that a mere youth could stop their lion legion. Rumble! At the center, dust soared into the sky. It could be called a catastrophe. The people of the caravan had no doubt that the young man had been stomped into meat paste. At this moment, in the dust, the lions were extremely fast. However, Lin Ling was even faster. I submit to all of you. Beside one of the lions, the young man floated in the air, following closely behind him. The eyes of the person on the lion trembled fiercely. Could it be that this young man could fly? Boom! Without waiting for him to speak, Lin Ling killed both the man and the lion with a single punch. You want to capture Xiaoyu? The cold voice rang out again. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and another lion was killed. Then, an illusion appeared. It was the illusion god's true inheritance. Lin Ling realized that this world suppressed realm essence, but it did not suppress soul power. I killed him. Someone let out a happy voice because the lion he was sitting on tore Lin Ling apart. This made him very excited. You're still far from it. However, before this laughter could fade, a palm slammed down from above that person's head. With a boom, both the man and the lion were turned into meat paste. Lin Ling did not use any methods at all. He just relied on his pair of fists to destroy this group of lions in a simple and crude manner. The dust was still rolling. Outside the dust, everyone stared at the center, not knowing what was happening inside. Is that young man still alive? Nonsense, he's surrounded by the lion core. He's definitely dead. The people of the caravan whispered. However, just as they finished speaking, the rumbling in the dust stopped. Moreover, a slender figure slowly walked out from the dust. When it gradually became clear, people saw that it was a delicate and handsome young man. When the dust fell, they saw that there was a large lump of meat paste in the center, and blood flowed like a river. The lion core was destroyed by a single person. Terror began to spread throughout the entire space. Everyone's hearts were beating like drums. Old Shang, Amoza, and the others, their faces were incomparably pale. This was because they never expected Lin Ling to be so powerful. Especially Old Shang. His face was filled with fear. In order not to offend Shilong, he sacrificed Amoza's daughter and Lin Ling's daughter. However, he now realized that he had offended another powerful person. Moreover, this powerful person was originally by their side. Perhaps he was helping them, but they had personally pushed this powerful person out, creating a hostile situation. At this moment, his heart was filled with intense regret. What did you just say? Lin Ling did not know what the crowd was thinking. Even if he knew, he would not care. Instead, he walked towards Lord Lion Lin. Lord Lion Lin was still sitting on the largest lion, but he did not dare to move. His eyes were wide open. The lion he was sitting on was trembling at this moment. Previously, he was arrogant and proud of Yushima, wanting Lin Ling to submit to him. However now, he had no one by his side. Everyone was killed by Lin Ling. He had become a commander without an army. How could he still be imposing? I didn't say anything. Even though he was Shilong's third young master, at this moment, his heart was filled with fear.
This was because he had never seen such a ferocious warrior. You previously said that you wanted me to submit to you. Lin Ling continued to walk forward, but every step he took felt like he was stepping on Lord Lion Lin's heart. The crowd could clearly see that the lion that Lord Lion Lin was sitting on had fallen to the ground. It had submitted to him. You previously said that you wanted to capture Xiao Yu. Lin Ling's expression was calm, but his eyes revealed an ominous glint. It was an ominous glint that was even more terrifying than the demon desert. These voices and this gaze made Lord Lion Lin even more flustered. If he had known that this young man was so powerful, he would not have come to this large caravan.
My father is the king of lions. Our tribe has the Dragon King behind us. His body was trembling continuously, but he quickly spoke. Perhaps he wanted to use his backing to make Lin Ling fear him. This was also to bolster his own courage. Then let me ask you, where is the Dragon King? Lin Ling had already arrived in front of the tall lion. He lifted his head and looked at Lord Lion Lin. However, Lord Lion Lin and his mount did not have any intention of resisting. I don't know. How would I know about the Dragon King? Lord Lion Lin replied. Chapter 3359. 3 breaths of time to escape. However, Lord Shilong knew that the calmer the tone, the more murderous it was. He kept shaking his head. I really don't know. Only my father knows. If you dare to kill me, Lord Shilong will flatten this place. Very well, I'll wait for your father. Lin Ling finally raised his head. His eyes were filled with killing intent. His voice shook the entire caravan and frightened Lord Lion Forest. This was because Lin Ling seemed to be saying that he had killed Lord Lion Forest, so his father should be coming. Lord Lion Forest finally realized that his backer, his courage, was completely useless against this delicate and pretty youth. He immediately roared, I admit that you are very powerful, but if you want to kill me, you might not succeed. As soon as he finished speaking, his head began to change. A mysterious power spread out, causing his head to become even bigger. His cold teeth flashed as he completely turned into a lion's head. Roar! He roared at the sky, and a deafening sound wave burst out. Puff! The people around felt as if they had been hit by something and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, their faces pale. Looking at Lord Lion Forest again, his head had already turned into 2 lion heads. Borrowing the roar from before, he ran wildly towards the ground, wanting to escape from this place. Although his previous roar was extremely powerful, he still didn't dare to fight with Lin Ling. He only wanted to escape. At this moment, Lin Ling stood there quietly. His expression was calm, but there was a trace of surprise in the depths of his eyes. Because he noticed that the roar from before actually carried a powerful soul energy impact. Moreover, there was a mysterious energy within it, and it seemed to be the energy of the gods. However, this divine force was not pure. Otherwise, Lin Ling would have been injured long ago. In this world, my realm essence is suppressed. Only my physical strength and soul force can display their might. Lin Ling also became more familiar with this world. What a powerful move. At this moment, everyone gradually recovered. Looking at Lord Lion Lin who was running away, their faces were filled with fear. Lin Ling! Amoza suddenly shouted because Lord Lion Forest was about to escape. If he escaped, he would definitely bring the Lion King over. No need to shout. He's already injured. Not far away, old Xianxia shook his head. They were so far away but they were injured, let alone Lin Ling. Moreover, even if Lin Ling was not injured, what could he do? Lord Lion Forest had already fled far, far away. Lin Ling could do nothing. 1. But at this time, Lin Ling let out a soft sound from the corners of his mouth. 1. Everyone was puzzled. What was the meaning of this? 2. Lin Ling said again. He's counting again? Many people finally realized that Lin Ling seemed to be counting off. But why was he counting off? 3. Lin Ling finally raised his eyes and looked coldly in front of him. An invisible wind suddenly blew. When the crowd reacted, they realized that Lin Ling had disappeared. There was only a gust of wind at the place where he was standing. It was as if he had never been there. Run. Tell father immediately and let father devour him. At this moment, in front of the red soil, Lord Lion Forest had transformed into a 2-headed lion and was galloping on the ground. From afar, He looked like the king of beasts.
However, this king of beasts looked a little panicked.
I gave you 3 breaths of time and you only escaped here. How disappointing.
Just as Lord Lion Lin thought that he had escaped death, an indifferent voice rang out from above his head, causing his 2 lion heads to narrow their eyes. When he turned his head to look, he saw a young man with his hands behind his back in the sky above his head, slowly following him.
That speed was actually slightly faster than his. At this moment, this man was looking at him like a god? At this moment, he was even more panicked. An emotion called fear shrouded his entire body. You don't have to say anything because this won't change the outcome. In the sky, Lin Ling said calmly. His entire body turned into a meteor and smashed into the ground. With a boom, although Lord Lion Forest was running away, he could not block Lin Ling's punch. He was turned into a pile of meat paste and couldn't be more dead.
You shouldn't have insulted my little you.
Lin Ling swung his fists and strode towards the caravan. At this moment, the large merchant group was silent. Many people were even rubbing their eyes because Lin Ling had suddenly disappeared.
It was as if he had turned into a gust of wind.
When they finally reacted, they could only see a boom in front of them. Then, the huge Lord Lion Forest was turned into a pile of meat paste. On the contrary, the blue-robed young man slowly walked back. This meant that Lord Lion Forest was dead. He was killed by this mysterious young man.
Most importantly, Lord Lion Forest had already escaped, but he still could not escape from the young man's punch.
The lion core has been completely annihilated.
Lin Ling is actually so powerful.
Amoza looked at the young man walking back and shook his head continuously.
He could not believe everything that had happened before his eyes.
Not long ago, he met a young master in Yuxamo. The young master was lost.
At that time, he thought that the young master was fearless because he did not know anything and dared to bring a few people to Yuxamo. Out of sympathy, he planned to bring the young master away from this troublesome place.
But now, he finally understood why the young master dared to come to Yuxamo. It was not because he was ignorant but because he was powerful. The young master's strength is unfathomable. Even Du Kening was inwardly surprised. This world's boundary essence was suppressed. So when the lion roared, if it was him, he would definitely be injured. But Lin Ling was still fine. He heard that besides boundary essence, young Master Lin Ling was also extremely powerful in other areas. Today, he finally believed it.
Lin Ling, you killed them all?
After Lin Ling returned, the large merchant group was still silent. Only Amoza dared to speak.
He still could not believe what had happened before his eyes.
Didn't you see it? Lin Ling smiled.
I did see it.
Amoza smiled bitterly and hurriedly said, Lord Lion Lin is dead. The Lion King will definitely bring Shilong here. Lin Ling, you should leave quickly. After all, the Lion King is one of the tribes under the Dragon King. Hearing this, Lin Ling shook his head. He had always been curious about the Dragon King.
So, it was even more impossible for him to leave. Amoza, shut up.
But at this moment, the old merchant leader roared angrily.
Then, he looked at Lin Ling and bowed. With a smile, he said, Lord Lin Ling, I have offended you previously.
Now that the Lion King will definitely bring the warriors of the tribe here, I hope that Lord Lin Ling will take responsibility for what you did. You must stop the Lion King. Don't leave. Obviously, he was afraid that if Lin Ling escaped, the Shilong would vent his anger on the large merchant group. That's right, that's right. Lord Lin Ling, as a warrior, you can't escape. A warrior who escapes will be abandoned by the gods for the rest of his life. Chapter 3360. The Lion King has arrived.
Of course I won't leave.
Unfortunately, how could they hide their intentions from Lin Ling? Hence, Lin Ling nodded because he had no intention of leaving in the first place. Let's go.
We'll wait for the Lion King outside the caravan. Following that, Lin Ling could not be bothered to say anything else.
He led Xiaoyu and Amoza's caravan away. Everyone in the merchant group became nervous because they were deeply afraid that Lin Ling would flee. However, they didn't dare stop Lin Ling, so they could only watch as Lin Ling and the others left. Fortunately, they noticed that Lin Ling's group hadn't gone far and had stayed a short distance away.
Good, good, good.
The old merchant leader smiled in satisfaction. He thought that as long as Shilong arrives, Lin Ling would be able to stop them. Even if he could not stop them, they could still push all the blame onto Lin Ling. Unknowingly, evening came quietly. The red earth sky seemed to have been dyed red with blood. A Moses caravan was camped under a red earth pillar not far from the caravan. They were roasting meat, drinking wine, and enjoying this hard-won time.
Of course, their gazes would occasionally turn towards the handsome man with a hint of worship in their eyes.
To be able to defeat the Lion Legion all by himself, Lord Lin Ling must have the 7 Shima's power. Unfortunately, they did not know that according to their calculations, Lin Ling had a total of 12 Shima's power. In addition to the fusion of his 5 great dantians, his strength was estimated to be 14 Shima's power. Although this world suppressed Jie Yuan was not completely useless. When the 5 great dantians fused together, he still had 2 Shima's power. Soul Force. Lord Shilin's soul force was not weak.
Lin Ling muttered to himself as he sat by the fire and looked at the fragrant meat being roasted.
Beside him, Xiao Yu and Rmo Lin were also staring at the barbecued meat. Their faces were covered in sweat, but they ignored it and continued to stare at the barbecued meat. It was as if they could not wait for the delicious meat. Just as the barbecue was done, a cloud of dust finally appeared on the horizon. It was as if a wave was crashing towards them. The deafening sound of the wave caused the earth to boil. At this moment, everyone stopped what they were doing. Their gazes were fixed in the distance, and their moods were instantly stifled. Shilong was finally here. Roar! Even though they were far away, everyone could hear an earth-shattering lion's roar. This caused the hearts of the people in the caravan to drop to the bottom. Similarly, the people of the Amoza caravan were trembling. They subconsciously looked at Lin Ling. Even now, they were not sure if Lin Ling could stop the Lion King. However, Lin Ling was still eating his barbecued meat, as if he didn't notice the explosion in front of him. Kill! Kill! As time passed, the experts of the Shilong arrived. They rode their lions and charged towards the caravan. They did not say much. They only wanted to kill all of Yuxamo. The caravan immediately cried out. They could not stop the Shilong and could only watch as they were slaughtered. The old merchant leader's face was as pale as paper. He had a few warriors block the experts in front of him. Then he ran towards Lin Ling. Lord Lin Ling, save us. The old merchant leader's voice came from afar. Not long after, he appeared in front of Lin Ling and the rest. Why? Lin Ling was still eating his barbecued meat and did not even look at the old merchant leader. The old merchant leader was stunned. Lin Ling asked why. Wasn't that nonsense? He did not dare to reprimand Lin Ling and hurriedly said, "The Lion King has brought the warriors of the tribe. He's here to kill you." "I know. However, if he wants to kill me, then so be it. Whether he can kill me or not, that will depend on his ability," Lin Ling said coldly. "But he's also killing our caravan." The old merchant leader stared at Lin Ling and became more and more anxious. "What does it have to do with me? If the Lion King wants to kill me, then he can come. If he wants to kill your caravan, then you can go and stop him. Isn't that enough?" Lin Ling said again. Ah! The old merchant leader's eyes widened. How could he stop the Lion King? Now get lost. Seeing the old merchant leader's shameless appearance, Lin Ling finally said coldly, "I'm not going. I can't watch the caravan die. Moreover, if I go back, I'll die too unless you kill me." The old merchant leader shook his head continuously as if he was going to throw caution to the wind. "Do you really think I don't dare? Or do you think you have any weight in my heart?" Lin Ling's eyes revealed a trace of murderous intent. He looked at the old merchant leader and his emotionless eyes made the old merchant leader's heart beat violently. He treated Lin Ling as his last hope. However, Lin Ling did not treat him as a friend. This was because when Lord Lion Lin came, the caravan did not treat Lin Ling as a friend either. They only wanted Lin Ling to die for them. Now, they treated Lin Ling as a friend. This was too shameless. "Get lost!" Lin Ling shouted angrily again. The old merchant leader let out a cry of horror and quickly ran away. At this moment, his heart was filled with endless regret. If he knew that Lin Ling was so strong, he would not have sacrificed Lin Ling and caused Lin Ling's dissatisfaction. Now, no one could help the caravan. Don't kill. I know who killed Lord Lion Lin, they're over there." The old merchant leader shouted as he ran. "Kill." At this moment, on the caravan side, countless lions were still slaughtering.
The leader was a man who was 5 meters tall, and he let out a cold roar.
The Lion King. This was the leader of the Shirlong. His head was full of sharp mane and he looked exactly like a lion. However, he was a lion with the head of a lion. Over there.
He let out a low voice and then waved his hand.
Kill everyone in the caravan. Leave no one alive.
After saying that, he led a large number of lions and charged towards Lin Ling.
Leave no one alive.
The old merchant leader sat on the ground with a thud.
He knew that the caravan was finished today. It was all over. Roar.
Just as he was thinking, a huge lion swallowed his head, causing blood to flow like a river on the ground.
In the distance, the people of the Amoza caravan were trembling. Terrifying, too terrifying. Facing the Lion King's army, they simply could not muster up any strength to resist. However, at this moment, a person stood up beside them. It was Lin Ling. Lin Ling held a wine bowl in his hand and walked forward.
Lord Lin Ling.
Seeing Lin Ling stand up, Amoza and the rest were excited. Savage Sword and the rest also wanted to help Lin Ling, but they were rejected by Lin Ling because in this world, Savage Sword and the rest were not strong.
Who killed my son?
At this moment, a furious roar came from the front. It was filled with killing intent.
If it's that useless lion, then I killed him.
Chapter 3361. Against the Lion King. The Lion King had the power of 1,000 worlds. If this Lion King was placed in the outside world, he would be considered an incredible expert. After all, he did not have any world essence.
If he cultivated world essence in the outside world, in addition to his own strength, he would definitely be extraordinary.
It's you?
Kill him.
An angry voice came from the front. The Lion King also looked at Lin Ling. Not only was there killing intent in his eyes, there was also a hint of surprise.
This was because this young man was not afraid of them and could still remain so calm?
Senior, I will kill him.
Father, I will do it.
Beside the Lion King, 2 warriors ran out at this moment.
They were both tall and mighty, with a magnificent aura.
Go. The ancient Lion King also issued an order to his warriors. We will definitely take his life. The 2 Shirlong warriors placed their fists on their chests. Then, their bodies began to change.
It was as if a large number of tentacles had extended out.
These tentacles were invisible and extremely mysterious. The lions beneath them roared angrily and were forcibly torn apart by the invisible tentacles.
Then, they fused into the bodies of the 2 warriors.
At this moment, they, who originally had lion heads and human bodies, became even taller and more ferocious. Seeing this, Lin Ling's eyes lit up and he stopped in his tracks. What a strange method. He realized that the thing that tore apart the mounts seemed to be soul power. These people actually had soul power and were using it like this? This was because Lin Ling also sensed that the strength of the 2 warriors had reached the power of 900 worlds. With this kind of strength, just one person was enough to sweep away a large caravan. Brat, remember, the one who will kill you is by Simo. I am Lord Lion Mountain. You killed my brother, so I will torture you to death. I will tear off your flesh piece by piece. The 2 transformed into lions with 2 lion heads. Their auras were extremely tyrannical. With a pounce, the void seemed to shatter. Their strength and speed had clearly reached a very high level. As for the Shirlong people, they all stopped running. Riding on the lions, they sneered at this scene. They knew that the brat was going to be torn apart. Lin Ling continued to stand there, his gaze extremely calm as he slowly drew the tyrannical song sword. A dazzling sword appeared, and a wisp of demonic chi and murderous intent swam around the sword, causing the red earth to suddenly turn cold. The 2 people in front rushed over, and one of them narrowed his eyes. That sword gave him an extremely sharp feeling. Roar! He opened his huge mouth, wanting to swallow Lin Ling. That lion's mouth seemed to have the power to bite through a world. Clang! However, Lin Ling did not retreat or dodge. He just raised his sword. Let me chew your sword to pieces. The huge mouth had already arrived, mixed with the power of 900 worlds, but Lin Ling's sword also moved, bloody light flashed. The power of 1,000 worlds extended from his arm and reached the tyrannical Song sword. This sword had followed Lin Ling and had killed countless people. Today, in this independent rainbow world, the pace of slaughter had arrived. Whoosh! The sword slashed out horizontally, revealing its sharpness. Under countless gazes, The huge lion seemed to be torn apart from its mouth. Finally, the entire lion's body was cut in half. Bang! The two halved corpses fell heavily on the ground, causing the surroundings to instantly become silent. It's your turn. Lin Ling's expression was still calm, but his eyes were incomparably cold. He held the sword with both hands and slashed down heavily. At this moment, Lord Lion Mountain's pupils trembled violently. This young man's sword was actually so powerful? Even the power of 900 worlds was cut down with a single slash? He finally wanted to retreat. He never expected that the person the caravan found from nowhere would be so powerful. Unfortunately, it was obviously too late to retreat now. Lin Ling's sword slashed down, and blood flowed like a river. The huge lion's body was cut in half, and Lin Ling walked over from within the lion's body. On both sides of the lion's body were the lion's corpse that slowly fell to the ground. Bang! When the dull sound fell, the people of Shilong felt a huge wave in their hearts. 2 slashes to kill the warrior of their tribe? His strength was beyond their imagination. Everyone, move out. The Lion King's expression became more serious, and he waved his hand again. Kill. All the lions moved out, pouncing towards Lin Ling, causing the mountains and rivers to collapse and the earth to shake. That terrifying scene caused a Moses caravan to tremble with fear. In the morning, Lin Ling destroyed the Lion Legion with a single punch. In the evening, Lin Ling wanted to use a single slash to kill the Lion Legion? This seemed impossible. However, to Lin Ling, this was not impossible. His sword was now even more dazzling, and his strength had increased to 1,200 worlds. Swoosh! The huge sword was like a rainbow, and with a single slash, 3 lions were cut in half. Fresh blood spilled from the sky, and before the blood spilled on the ground, Lin Ling attacked again. Another 2 lions were killed, and for a moment, blood flowed like a river. Lin Ling stepped forward, killing 10 lions with a single step. No one could stop him. In the sky, the setting sun was like blood, and on the ground, there was a rain of blood. The 2 scenes combined, forming a beautiful and boiling scene. So strong, it must be the strength of 12 Yuxamo. In the distance, the Lion King still did not move. His cold eyes looked at the youth under the setting sun, and he knew that he had underestimated this youth. Pah! The ground was filled with lion corpses, and blood was flowing. Light footsteps could be heard from the blood. Under the illumination of the setting sun, Lin Ling held his huge sword and walked towards the Lion King step by step. It's your turn. Who are you? The 2 of them looked at each other and asked casually. Who I am is not important. What is important is that you should know where the Dragon King is. Lin Ling said indifferently. This was also the reason why he stayed behind to wait for the Lion King. Defeat me and you will know. The Lion King placed his palm beside his mouth, and lightly licked it. His palm became huge, and his claws were extremely sharp, just like a lion's claw. Then you will definitely tell me. Lin Ling nodded. 120 world speed erupted, and with the huge sword in his hand, he slashed down from the sky. That sword slashed down from the sky, as if it was cutting the blood-red setting sun into 2. Boom! The Lion King raised his hand to block. His claws collided with the huge sword, and dazzling sparks blossomed. The strength of 12 Yuxamo is only a sigh. The Lion King looked at Lin Ling under the setting sun, and said indifferently. However, he was somewhat shocked in his heart. Only after clashing with Lin Ling did he know how strong this youth was. Is that so? Sigh. Lin Ling smiled, and without wasting any time, he raised his sword and slashed down again. Clang! The ground split open, but the Lion King still managed to block that sword. Lin Ling's sword continued to slash down, and he wanted to see how long the Lion King could block it. Boom! 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 On the desert, a man and a lion crazily clashed. Chapter 3362. The power brought by soul force. Although I only have the strength of 10 Jade Shima and you are stronger than me, my body is more powerful. If this continues, you won't be able to defeat me. On the contrary, when you are exhausted, I will be able to easily tear you apart. The Lion King was shocked by Lin Ling's strength, but he still sneered. Is that so? Lin Ling still said the same thing, but this time, he used the world origin of his 5 Dantian. His sword had become even heavier. If placed in the 10,000 worlds,
One sword could easily break 1,000 realms whirling expert. This was the strength of an absolute swordsman. What? Sensing Lin Ling's sword becoming stronger, the Lion King was shocked. The current you still dares to say those words? Lin Ling's strength gradually increased from 1,200 worlds to 1,400 worlds. Swoosh! The final sword, blood blossomed, and cut off the Lion King's arm. On the Amoza caravan side, everyone was shocked. He won. Lin Ling actually cut off the Lion King's arm. This was too unbelievable. Very good, you have injured me. At this moment, the Lion King looked at his severed arm on the ground. His voice turned deep and it was filled with rage. Where is the Dragon King? Lin Ling held his sword diagonally. His face was still cold. This battle is not over yet. The Lion King suddenly laughed. His laughter was very sinister and cold. At the same time, an indescribable strength spread out, as if invisible tentacles were growing, and these tentacles were bigger and thicker than the previous two. Soul Force. Lin Ling's brows suddenly furrowed. The Lion King was still laughing. Those invisible tentacles began to spread out, and the lion corpses on the ground flew over and merged with his body. At the same time, the powerful strength continued to stack, from 1,000 worlds to 1,500 worlds, surpassing Lin Ling's strength. Moreover, this did not stop, and finally, it reached 2,000 worlds. A huge monster also appeared. This monster had lion heads all over its body, and it was dripping with blood. It looked extremely terrifying. It was several hundred meters tall, like a mountain. This caused all of Amoza's caravan to tremble, as if they had seen the end of the world. This was the true Lion King. No, he could be called a lion demon. Your end is here. The Lion King let out a hoarse voice. He moved. Although his body was huge, he was extremely agile. Clang! Lin Ling's eyes narrowed. He raised his sword to block, but he found a powerful force coming at him, causing him to almost lose his grip on his sword. Then there was a rumbling sound, and he was sent flying backwards, leaving a deep mark on the hard ground. You use your soul force like this? However, Lin Ling quickly stood up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said indifferently, "The power I possess is not something you can understand." The Lion King roared at the sky and attacked again. In an instant, it arrived in front of Lin Ling. Its huge claws swept down in a simple and crude manner. Boom! However, at this time, the world-devouring beast began to appear behind Lin Ling. Its huge mouth made him transform into a monster. What? The Lion King was shocked. He found that the effect of his claw was much weaker than before, because the young man seemed to have transformed. Bang, bang, bang. Even so, Lin Ling was still retreating. What are you? The Lion King let out a shocked voice, but Lin Ling did not say a word. His face was still cold. If you don't say it, I will make you say it. The Lion King pounced on Lin Ling again, sweeping toward Lin Ling with great power. This time, the dragon god appeared behind Lin Ling, and it was a scene of two dragons soaring into the sky. One was the heavenly dragon protector, and the other was the grand serene wind dragon. After these two talents were displayed, Lin Ling's defense increased by a lot. Clang! The big sword and the claws clashed, and the ground instantly cracked. However, this time, Lin Ling did not retreat. The reason was that he had unleashed all three of his talents, increasing his strength by 1 point. Of course, if he could use realm essence, the Lion King would have been easily killed. Dragon, dragon, dragon. You are the Dragon King's bloodline. At this moment, the Lion King looked at Lin Ling in shock. His eyes were wide open. The more he fought, the more mysterious this young man became. He could not see through him at all. That is not the case. On the contrary, I am the Dragon King's enemy. Lin Ling raised his head and said coldly. And the Lion King kept shaking his head. He couldn't believe everything that was happening in front of him. However, his eyes soon became ice cold. Although he didn't know why this young man had the blood of Lord Dragon King, but in the vast land of Yushi, there was only one Lord Dragon King. No other Dragon King could exist. Even if that is the case, so what? Dang! The Lion King unleashed all of his strength. He raised both of his palms up high and then stomped down heavily. With a rumbling sound, the pair of huge feet were blocked by Lin Ling's sword. However, the Lion King opened his huge lion mouth and bit the tyrannical Song sword. With a pull,
a terrifying force erupted. The tyrannical song sword left Lin Ling's hand and flew into the distance. Moreover, that huge force also caused Lin Ling's body to fly backward. He smashed into the ground and caused a huge wave of earth to rise. Ha ha ha, without a sword, how are you going to fight against me? The Lion King's morale was greatly boosted. He ran with all four of his limbs and once again pounced on Lin Ling. From afar, it looked like a god's mount was running wildly, causing the mountains and rivers to shatter. My lord! Du Ying and the others had been watching the battle. At this moment, they finally started to worry. Although the people of this world could not use boundary essence, their physical strength and that mysterious power were too strong. The Lion King arrived at the place where Lin Ling smashed down. He raised both of his legs up high as if he wanted to stomp on the ground and ruthlessly stomped down on the place where Lin Ling was. This stomp undoubtedly caused everyone's face to turn gloomy. They knew that Lin Ling was dead for sure. Boom! 2,000 boundary essence erupted. Cracks appeared on the ground. Then, with Lin Ling's location as the center, endless waves of earth rolled out. The people of the Amoza caravan were all sent flying backward. However, they still looked at Lin Ling's direction with worry. Lin Ling! Everyone was shouting. They did not know if Lin Ling could still be alive. I never thought that soul force could be used like this. However, at this moment, an indifferent voice came out from the rolling waves of earth. Everyone's pupils constricted. When they looked carefully, they discovered that Lin Ling had stood up at this moment. Moreover, both of his hands were supporting the sky. He actually relied on his two arms to block the Lion King's two huge claws. That thin and weak figure, under the illumination of the setting sun, was undoubtedly extremely dazzling. How is this possible? The Lion King let out a sound of disbelief. Because I also have soul force. Moreover, it has reached 8,000 levels. On the ground, Lin Ling raised his clear eyes and calmly said. His words caused the Lion King's body to tremble. He lowered his head and realized that Lin Ling had changed. He had also become like a monster. His skin was as black as the night sky. Moreover, a large amount of scales could be seen on his black skin. It seemed to be dragon armor. Moreover, his palms seemed to have turned into claws. Chapter 3363. Fusion Talent. And this form was the same as his Lion King form, using his soul force as a medium to fuse the external energy into his body. However, the Lion King had merged with other lions. As for Lin Ling, he seemed to have merged with the realm-swallowing beast, the Sky Dragon Protector, and the Great Netherwind Dragon. Most importantly, this method was learned from the Lion King. More importantly, Lin Ling's soul force is stronger than the Lion King's. For the Lion King, it was as if he saw the arrival of the Dragon King. This handsome young man was actually a god? A Dragon King of the Yuxamo continent? Thank you. At this moment, Lin Ling looked at the Lion King indifferently. However, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He realized that by using soul force as a medium, he could actually fuse several great talents together. This kind of method probably didn't exist in Lin Ling's world. It was a fighting method unique to this world. And after fusing the three great talents, Lin Ling felt the power in his body surge out, giving him the illusion that he was a dragon god. Now I'll ask you one more time. Where is the Dragon King? Lin Ling was still calmly looking at the Lion King. His voice became hoarse. Ka ka ka. At the same time, he exerted a little force in his hands. The Lion King's huge claws produced the sound of bones breaking. The strength of this force had exceeded the range that he could withstand. Go east from the demon desert. The Lion King shouted anxiously. His eyes were filled with fear. At this point, he already regarded Lin Ling as the Dragon King. Thank you. Lin Ling nodded slightly. He swiped his pitch-black dragon claw forward, unleashing a force that surpassed the strength of 2,000 worlds. Swoosh. The sound of blood gushing out could be heard. Under the gaze of the Amoza caravan, the Lion King that was as huge as a mountain was torn into two. Terrifying. One had to know that the Lion King was bigger than a mountain. And the person who tore it apart was only a half-human monster that looked like a black dragon. Blood sprinkled down like rain. Lin Ling bathed in the rain. At this moment, his heart was filled with a tyrannical and domineering aura. Brutal and ferocious, this came from the realm-swallowing beast. The unique and righteous came from the bloodline of the dragon god.
After fusing the three talents together, he realized that he was about to turn into a monster. Soul force can actually be used like this. Lin Ling just stood there quietly. He allowed the blood to wash over him. His dark skin started to absorb the blood. This was the world-swallowing beast-swallowing talent. Most importantly, he discovered that the Lion King's method not only allowed him to fuse with the body of a monster beast, but it also allowed him to fuse with his innate talent. Moreover, according to the level of his innate talent, the strength of his soul force would determine his strength. I'm afraid the fusion of the three great innate gifts has given me the power of 3,000 worlds. A confident smile appeared on the corner of Lin Ling's mouth. If he fused with his innate talent, he would be able to defeat many saints with just his physical body. Time quietly passed. The blood on the ground gradually dried up. Most of it was absorbed by Lin Ling, and Lin Ling's skin started to return to normal. After that, he immediately felt tired. He realized that using his soul force as a medium to forcefully fuse with his innate talent consumed a lot of his soul force. To put it bluntly, his soul force was like an invisible arm that pulled the realm-swallowing beast and the dragon god's power over and fused them into Lin Ling's body. Young master! Young master! Seeing that Lin Ling had recovered, Doing and the others were overjoyed. As for Amoza and the others, their faces were pale. They looked at Lin Ling as if he was the god of the land of Yuxia. Plop! Without any hesitation, they immediately knelt down. Their faces were full of reverence. Lin Ling had already recovered. When he saw this scene, he smiled bitterly and shook his head. Right now, he had become a tyrannical lion king. After that, he walked forward and helped Amoza and the others up. However, Amoza and the others were still full of reverence. They did not even dare to look at Lin Ling. Big brother Lin Ling. On the other hand, Amawolin was fearless because she did not know. She walked over and held Lin Ling's hand. To her, she did not know how scary the previous Lin Ling was. However, she knew that the previous Lin Ling had saved her. Xiaoyu's big brother was indeed amazing. Amawolin, big brother is leaving. From now on, you have to protect your father and the caravan. Lin Ling carried Amawolin, and Amawolin kissed Lin Ling on the cheek. She looked at Xiaoyu reluctantly. Seeing this, Lin Ling put Amawolin down. The two little girls' eyes were wet. Amawolin, I'll come and see you again. Xiaoyu, I'll come and see you too. The two little girls held hands and promised each other. Lin Ling was happy for their friendship. After pondering for a while, he took out some treasures to help Amawolin change her talent and cleanse her marrow. As long as he helped Amawolin lay a good foundation, Amawolin would be stronger than Amoza and the others in the future. It was a pity that they could not cultivate boundary essence in this world. Otherwise, Lin Ling could give them some guidance on cultivation. Then, Lin Ling took out some body-tempering treasures and handed them to Amoza and the others. Lin Ling, this is not good. Amoza and the others were instantly grateful. Lin Ling had saved them and now he was giving them treasures. This made them feel extremely guilty. Knowing each other is fate. Perhaps this is also fated. So accept it, Lin Ling said with a smile. Amoza and the others could only nod. Moreover, they gave Lin Ling the most solemn warrior salute in Yushi. In the future, no matter how they changed, they would always remember Lin Ling. Lin Ling held Xiaoyu's hand and led Do Haing and the others away. To him, this was just a memory of his life. In the future, when he recalled all his memories, he would feel that his life was not in vain. He did not know that because of him, a powerful tribe was born in Yushi. In the future, this tribe would dominate Yushi. Moreover, the god they worshipped was a man with black skin and dragon claws. This had already become the tribe's statue, the god they worshipped and passed down for thousands of years. Of course, this was a story for another time. At this moment, Lin Ling was walking along the red soil towards the ancient desert. Although this trip to the Rainbow World did not increase his strength by much, it allowed him to learn a new way of fighting. It was a different way of using soul force. This made Lin Ling curious. What kind of god created this world? Why were his laws and his Tao so different? After passing through the red soil, a scorching desert appeared in front of him. This desert was even hotter than Yushi. To Lin Ling, this kind of heat was equivalent to nothing. However, to Do Haing and the others, this was a kind of torture. They had to rely on their boundary essence to resist the heat. Moreover, if they walked for a long time, they would have to recover their boundary essence. This was also the benefit of Lin Ling's triple cultivation of essence, qi, and spirit. Walking towards the east, the vast desert was desolate and gave off a feeling of loneliness.
Chapter 3364.
The Legend of the Rainbow World. Brother, I'm thirsty.
Occasionally, Xiao Yu's voice could be heard.
Lin Ling hugged her and took out some treasures, which made her giggle.
Rumble.
After walking for an unknown period of time, a deafening roar could be heard from the front.
Looking around, at the end of the desert, there was a huge black spot.
The sound was coming from there.
East, the direction is correct. Unless the sun rises from the west, could it be that the black spot is where the Dragon King is?
Lin Ling stopped and frowned as he looked into the distance. He could sense that the black spot was actually a huge black whirlpool. Let's continue. Lin Ling continued on his journey.
He didn't dare to guarantee anything for this trip. Whether the Dragon King was a friend or foe, or how strong he was, etc. However, he had a feeling that if he didn't go to the Dragon King, he would definitely regret it. Since he had made up his mind, Lin Ling continued forward without hesitation.
Rumble.
As he moved forward, the sound in front became louder and louder.
Moreover, in the ancient desert, an ancient city sat on the ground.
What was surprising was that the city was made of thick and heavy rocks. The surface of the rocks was filled with spikes and beast bones, which made it look extremely ferocious.
There's actually an ancient city in this desert.
Do Afterimage couldn't help but widen his eyes. It's not an ancient city, but a rock and sand boat. Lin Ling said with a smile as he activated his 10,000 elephant magic eyes. This was the first time he had seen such a huge rock and sand boat. Moreover, the entire boat was made of rocks. The person who built the boat must have spent a lot of effort. Brother, is that a boat? Why isn't it moving? Xiao Yu blinked her big eyes and asked curiously. Do you see that huge canvas?
That's the driving force of the boat.
The wind in the Demon Desert is very strong. When the canvas is blown, it can move the rock and sand boat. As for why it's not moving now, it's because the wind has stopped. There's another reason. Do you see that black whirlpool in the distance? They seem to be afraid of that black whirlpool. Lin Ling explained with a smile. Young master is right. That boat can't move at this moment because there is no wind. However, this boat is also amazing. If there is wind, then it can walk freely in the Demon Desert. Moreover, with the protection of the rocks, the people on the boat will be safe and sound. Do Afterimage said with a smile.
My lord, look over there, there's another boat.
At this time, Cruel Sword also said. In this vast desert, there was more than one rock and sand boat. There were a few boats in the distant desert. There was a Can's XN can obviously, they couldn't move without wind.
Let's go.
Lin Ling smiled. He was originally very interested in the rock sand boat, but he didn't want to miss the black vortex, so he set off again. Cans can dragon is can cans can cans can cans cans. Haha, the sand boat has closed the cabin. They can't enter the sand boat unless they can pay more divine coins. I'm afraid the divine coins will be 10 times more expensive than usual. After all, they missed the time to enter the boat. A large number of voices were heard, with a hint of schadenfreude. Hey, do you want to enter the boat? You have 8,000 divine coins on you.
At this time, a burly man appeared on the sand boat and looked at Lin Ling and the others.
Yes. Xiao Yu replied curiously. She had always been interested in the sand boat. Get lost, let your parents speak. However, the burly man snorted coldly, thinking that the little girl was teasing him. After all, when was it a child's turn to speak on such an important matter? Seeing this, Xiao Yu didn't dare to speak and her eyes became moist. We don't have any divine coins.
Lin Ling stopped and looked indifferently at the sand boat in the distance.
Damn it, what a waste of my saliva. The burly man said angrily. Then, as if he was unwilling to give up, he said again, my sand boat just so happens to have a few empty seats. If you don't have any divine coins, you can become slaves. This way you can live. Slaves. This sentence seemed to have touched Remnant Sword's reverse scale. A dagger quietly appeared in his hand. This was because he was born a slave. However,
Lin Ling quickly pressed his hand and shook his head.
You don't have to do anything. These people will definitely die. Get lost. Then, Lin Ling shouted angrily at the sandboat.
Damn it, what a shameless fellow. The burly man's face turned ugly.
Captain, why do you have to be so harsh on them? If they want to die, let them be. Anyway, they will definitely be torn to pieces by the dragon demon. Hee hee, I haven't seen the dragon demon eat humans in a long time. Today, I finally get to see it. On the huge sandboat, mocking voices came out. Many people looked at Lin Ling and the others as if they were looking at dead people. In the rainbow world, there had always been a legend. A long time ago, a demon came here and specialized in eating humans. This made the demon desert infamous. In the end, this demon attracted the wrath of God. Under God's punishment, the demon was locked in a cage in the depths of the desert forever. However, the demon was called a demon because it could not die. It could only be sealed. It let its people wreak havoc in the desert. Every month, on a certain day, its people would massacre the land. And today was the day when the demon's people massacred the land. This rule had been passed down for thousands of years. Young master, something doesn't seem right. Du Kening also noticed that these people were gloating and couldn't help but say solemnly. I know. Lin Ling nodded. His gaze was fixed on the black vortex in the distance. He sensed a wisp of demonic energy permeating the air, and it was increasing in number. Not only was this demonic energy violent, it was also mixed with a wisp of dragon chi. This made him even more certain that the Dragon King was in the black vortex. Rumble! At this moment, the desert began to shake, and countless terrifying cries sounded in front of them. The sandboats immediately fell silent. Although they were hiding in the sandboats, they were deeply afraid that the sandboats could not stop the invasion of the demons. They're out! Someone shouted, causing countless gazes to turn to the front. A black dot appeared in the black vortex. It gradually increased in number and gradually became bigger. Upon closer inspection, they were strange beasts. They had the limbs of a lizard, but they also had the heads of a dragon. They looked extremely clumsy, but they were charging forward. Their eyes were bloodthirsty, as if they wanted to eat everyone. What is this? Can Sword exclaimed. This is the first time I've seen such demon beasts. Lin Ling frowned. Then, he realized that the lizard-like dragon demons were very fast. They swept up a sandstorm and swept over. Don't leave me! Chapter 3365. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios A New Demon. At this moment, many people on the sandboat were staring at Lin Ling and the rest. All of them sneered. At this moment, they had completely forgotten about their own safety. They were already anticipating Lin Ling and the rest to be torn apart by the dragon demons. Perhaps this was the dark side of humans. They were afraid of the dragon demons, but they also wanted to see the dragon demons wreak havoc on others. This way they would feel better than others. Rumble! The huge lizard dragon demon was getting closer and closer to Lin Ling and the rest. Young master. Do Afterimage's expression became even more serious. A dagger appeared in Savage Sword's hand. He was ready to fight to the death. However, Lin Ling was still calm. Since he was looking for the Dragon King, he definitely couldn't avoid facing these dragon demons. Don't move! Lin Ling still shouted coldly. As the dragon demons in front got closer, a fierce aura and dragon aura began to spread from his body. Unknowingly, his body had turned pitch black, and he had grown taller. His arms had turned into dragon claws, and his entire being seemed to have transformed into a half-dragon man. Roar! Almost at the same time, the lizard dragon demon at the front had arrived. It opened its bloody mouth and roared, wanting to devour Lin Ling and the rest. Clang! A dagger appeared in Savage Sword's hand. He was ready to protect Lin Ling with his life. Don't move! However, Do Afterimage stopped him because he realized that something was wrong with Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling's fierce aura and dragon aura became more intense. It was as though they had materialized. His soul power was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws around his body. Roar! Lin Ling also roared. In fact, it was even louder than the lizard dragon demon. Roar! However, the lizard dragon demon roared again. It was filled with the primeval aura of a demon beast. Moreover, more and more dragon demons arrived around it and roared at Lin Ling. It was as though the demon kings were fighting. It was a clash of auras.
What's going on?
In the distant desert, those sandboats let out cries of surprise. The scene in front of them was too shocking. This was because a strange half-demon was roaring at the lizard-dragon demons. All the lizard-dragon demons stopped and roared back. It was as if one person was fighting against the entire flood of dragon demons. Roar! Lin Ling's ferocious nature seemed to have been triggered. His roaring became louder and louder. Around his body, black sludge appeared. It was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. This was the world-swallowing beast. Roar! Lin Ling roared again. On his left arm, the heavenly dragon protector appeared. Furious dragon soars to the heavens. The great netherwind dragon appeared on his right arm and swept through the sky. Gradually, the auras of the lizard dragons withered, and they began to lie down. Finally, they circled around Lin Ling and charged towards the sandboat in the distance. Perhaps, on Lin Ling's body, they detected the most primitive aura of the dragon god. Heavens, that slave actually didn't get swallowed. It doesn't make sense. What did that slave do? Such a scene shocked all of the sandboats. Could it be that this youth was the incarnation of a devil? Rumble! While they were still in shock, a large number of lizard dragons had arrived. They charged towards the sandboat without fear of death. The rocks of the sandboat had a large number of spikes. In an instant, many of the lizard dragons were killed. Good. Seeing that the sandboat was impregnable, everyone secretly wiped away their sweat. However, even though many of the lizard dragons had died, the lizard dragons behind did not stop. They continued to charge towards the sandboat. Something's not right. The people on the sandboat could not be happy at this moment. Ka. As more and more lizard dragon demons died, cracks began to appear on the thick rocks of the sandboat. Oh no! Everyone was frightened by this scene. Without the sandboat, how could they block the dragon demon? They were dead. They were dead. At this moment, they did not have the time to gloat. They were all worried about themselves. Boom! As the sandboat completely exploded, everyone was exposed to the huge lizard dragons. Their bodies trembled, and they did not have the heart to fight at all. Suddenly, the captain of the sandboat looked into the distance. He vaguely saw that the people from before were riding the lizard dragons and heading towards the black vortex. The lizard dragons were actually obeying the orders of those people? This news undoubtedly shocked everyone. Sir, save me! The captain roared into the distance. Unfortunately, those people rode the lizard dragon demon further and further away. No. Instead, they were greeted by the bloody maw of the lizard dragon demon. The captain was torn in half. His upper body was bitten by a dragon. He was not dead for the time being. His eyes stared into the distance. He suddenly thought, if he had let the youth on the boat, what would have happened? Unfortunately, there were no ifs in the demon desert. Gulp! The captain's upper body was finally swallowed into the stomach of a lizard dragon. Sha Jingtian's sandboat has been destroyed. On the sandboat in the distance, everyone looked at the tragic scene in front of them. They wanted to help, but there was nothing they could do about it. Although the sandboat could stop the lizard dragons, that was only relative. Generally speaking, out of 10 sandboats, 3 would definitely be destroyed. Therefore it was also a matter of luck. If there were no sandboats, they would have died without a doubt. Who are those people? They actually gained the lizard dragon's approval. Then, everyone looked into the distance. Their eyes were filled with shock. It's not just approval, it's making the lizard dragons obey orders. An old man with a face full of vicissitudes muttered to himself. Uncle Lin, why did this happen? The others asked, trembling with fear. I don't know. Perhaps that person is the demon of the demon desert. The old man shook his head. He was not familiar with this kind of mythical story. However, he suddenly thought of something. God once said that when a new demon appears in the rainbow realm, the old demon will be killed. Perhaps that person is the new demon. It can't be. Even God can't kill the demon. Can that person? God's prophecies are never wrong. The sandboats began to make noises one after another. Many people recalled the ancient legends of the gods. At this moment, in front of the huge black vortex, a large number of lizard dragons were moving forward. They clustered around one of the lizard dragons as if they were welcoming their king. On the lizard, Xiao Yu, Du Lingying, Remnant Sword,
and the others were shocked. They could only look at the man in black in front of the lizard dragons. "Young master, you're so powerful." Du Lingying's heart kept roaring. In his heart, Lin Ling was simply a dragon king at this moment. These lizard dragons are formed by the fusion of the Dragon King's bloodline and other monsters. Therefore, they can sense the dragon god's bloodline in me and obey my orders. At this moment, a low voice sounded. It made Du Lingying and the others laugh. Previously, they were afraid that Lin Ling would become a monster who had lost his mind.
"Brother, are you okay?"
Xiao Yu's big eyes stared at the man in black. Although this man was extremely terrifying and looked like a monster, his silhouette was her dearest brother.
Chapter 3366. A Quiet Mountain Range.
Lin Ling, although he had merged with the realm-devouring beast and the dragon god bloodline, his soul power was strong, so the side effects of the bloodline did not affect him at all.
"That's great."
Seeing this, Do Afterimage and the rest smiled. The real trouble is about to begin. Lin Ling quickly stopped smiling and looked at the black vortex that was getting closer and closer. He had a feeling that if he could come out of the black vortex alive, Lin Ling would be reborn and become a real dragon god. This was why he was so determined to enter the black vortex. The rolling vortex was like a giant mouth that wanted to swallow everything. As it got closer, Lin Ling and the rest looked more serious. Then they disappeared into the black vortex.
Rumble.
The black vortex was still rolling, as if it was leading to another world. After an unknown amount of time, the giant vortex finally began to dissipate, and the lizard dragon in the desert retreated into the black vortex. The world of the black vortex was a boundless mountain range. This place was extremely quiet and desolate, without any signs of life. The sky was pitch black, and the dark clouds seemed to be motionless.
"What is this place?"
Lin Ling and the rest landed on the lizard dragon and frowned as they looked into the distance. They saw that the lizard dragon walked into the mountains and then fell into a deep sleep, as if they had turned into stone statues. Lin Ling and the rest saw this strange scene, but they could not figure out what caused the lizard dragon to fall into a deep sleep.
"Young master, you can use boundary essence here. Boundary essence is not suppressed."
Suddenly, Do Afterimage could not help but laugh excitedly. After Broken Sword checked it out, he also smiled. They did not like the feeling of being suppressed.
"That's good."
Lin Ling also checked it out and then nodded. With boundary essence, his strength could increase again, which was beneficial to him. After that, they continued to move forward. However, it was still pitch black in front of them. There was no light or sound. Walking alone in this kind of mountain range might make one feel as if they were already dead. Xiao Yu was also affected by the surrounding atmosphere. She held Lin Ling's hand tightly while Lin Ling kept an eye on their surroundings. He knew that the quieter it was, the greater the danger. Moreover, Lin Ling also sensed that something was wrong. This was because his soul force had sensed that there was something secretly monitoring them. He couldn't help but look at Du Kening and the others. However, even though they were assassins, they didn't notice anything. Instead, they looked at Lin Ling in confusion. Could it be that my senses are mistaken? Lin Ling immediately frowned, because the feeling of being watched would sometimes disappear and sometimes appear, making it difficult for him to be sure. He could only secretly keep an eye on it. After walking for a long time, Lin Ling's footsteps suddenly came to a halt. Do Afterimage and the others immediately looked at Lin Ling, their eyes turning serious. Lin Ling stared ahead, frowned slightly and said indifferently, "You have been following us for so long. Could it be that you want to continue following us?" His voice drifted out, but the mountain range in front of them was still silent. There was not even the sound of wind. This made Du Kening and Broken Sword look at Lin Ling again. Could it be that their young master had sensed wrongly?
Shill.
However, at this moment, a black shadow suddenly flashed over, like lightning crossing the pitch-black sky. Most importantly, this lightning was silent and its speed had reached 200 boundary essence. The fatal aura locked onto Xiao Yu. It seemed that Xiao Yu was the weakest, so the killing intent wanted to kill her first.
"You are courting death."
Broken Sword was beside Xiao Yu. At this moment, he stepped forward and blocked in front of Xiao Yu without fear of death. At the same time, he activated all his boundary essence, forming a cold dagger of killing intent. Cold light flashed, and the dagger slashed forward, causing cracks to appear in the space.
Rumble.
However, that black shadow was extremely powerful. It was unknown what method it used, but when it collided with Broken Sword's dagger, it actually shattered his dagger. A wave of killing intent instantly landed on Broken Sword's body. However, at this moment, sword light flashed, revealing its sharpness. Clang! Just as the killing intent was about to land on Broken Sword's neck, a sword blocked in front of him, causing Broken Sword to relax. It was his lord. At this moment, beside Broken Sword, Lin Ling held a large sword and blocked that fatal attack. He also stared ahead, only to see that the fatal attack was a tail that looked like a scorpion's tail. Looking ahead, black scales appeared, and a black scorpion the size of a calf appeared in front of Lin Ling. What was terrifying was that this scorpion actually had a dragon's head, and its 8 legs were in the form of dragon claws. It was just that its body was completely black. Moreover, Lin Ling also sensed that this scorpion had the aura of a dragon. The combination of a dragon and a scorpion? It could be called a monster. Woo woo woo. After being blocked by Lin Ling's large sword, the tail actually spewed out a wave of black smoke. It's poisonous. Retreat immediately. Lin Ling shouted anxiously as he brandished his sword, creating a strong gust of wind that blew the cloud-like poison away. Shill! When he waved his large sword, the black light arrived again, and the dragon-scorpion monster attacked again. 2 huge claws grabbed at Lin Ling, but were blocked by Lin Ling's tyrannical song sword. However, at this moment, that fatal tail shot out again. Wind technique! Lin Ling shouted, and his body was like the wind, graceful and formless. Using 200 world speed, Lin Ling used his speed to dodge that fatal tail. However, the dragon scorpion was really powerful. While it kept spitting out poisonous clouds, it also used the speed of 200 worlds to chase after Lin Ling. Clang clang clang. Under the silent mountain range, a deafening sound rang out. 1 man and 1 scorpion. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged 500 rounds. What kind of monster is this? Its strength is too great. Du Ying and the Broken Sword were protecting Xiao Yu, and they said solemnly. They felt that it was not a scorpion at all, but a dragon, a poisonous scorpion dragon. What powerful strength! It has reached the power of 2,000 world speed. At this moment, Lin Ling's right arm was a little numb. After several clashes, he also knew that this dragon scorpion was powerful. However, he did not use his full strength. Of course, in such a mysterious place, the longer the battle dragged on, the more unfavorable it was for Lin Ling. Therefore, Lin Ling pushed his speed to the extreme, and the wind and rain myriad world technique appeared, mixed with the great nether wind dragon's great Tao of wind, allowing him to reach the speed of 300 world speed. This speed instantly pulled the dragon scorpion apart, and the dragon scorpion was obviously stunned, unable to react in time. However, its ferocious aura was overflowing, and it once again pounced on Lin Ling. Illusion God's true inheritance. Lin Ling's heart stirred, and he planned to end the battle quickly. After the illusion appeared, countless Lin Ling appeared, and it was impossible to distinguish between the real and the fake. This made the dragon scorpion a little confused, and it could only continue to attack those Lin Ling. However, the real Lin Ling was hidden among them, and the big sword merged the power of the 5 Dantians and slashed out fiercely. Chapter 3367. The Mysterious Old Man. Clang! Sparks flew in all directions. That calf-like dragon scorpion scales were sliced open, and green blood flowed all over the ground. However, it did not die, and instead suffered heavy injuries. This clearly showed how powerful it was. His overall strength had probably reached the late stage of the saint stage or even the peak stage. I've already unleashed 70% of my strength, but I still couldn't kill it. It's really troublesome. Lin Ling's expression also became serious. If there were more of these dragon scorpions, then even he, Lin Ling, would not be able to stop them. However, whatever he thought of came true. In the quiet mountain range, huge figures appeared one after another. If one looked carefully, one would see countless monsters walking over. Some of them were like cows, some were like tigers. There were all kinds of strange creatures and they were extremely ferocious. These monsters surrounded Lin Ling and the others, roaring angrily. Furthermore, all of them had the same characteristic, which was that they possessed the blood of dragons. These monsters were originally the subspecies left behind by the gods. They were incomparably powerful. Coupled with the dragon god's bloodline, their strength was naturally unparalleled.
Your Excellency. Who are you? Moreover, what shocked Lin Ling the most was that these monsters actually spoke human language. Who are you? Lin Ling suppressed his astonishment and said in a low voice. If you don't speak, die. The eyes of those monsters were extremely cold. Although their voices sounded like human speech, they were extremely hoarse. It was as if speaking was not an easy task for them. Kill! Those monsters erupted with terrifying baleful aura and began to surround Lin Ling. Most of them were at the peak of the sage stage, and many of them were close to the martial ancestor stage. This kind of ancient vicious creature was simply not what Lin Ling could withstand. Although Lin Ling's illusion god true inheritance had confused a large number of monsters, they were still powerful enough to tear apart the illusion. As for Lin Ling's 300 sector speed, he was immediately at a disadvantage against some of the bird-like monsters. This was because those monsters had 500 sector speed. Terrifying. Extremely terrifying. If such a ferocious army was placed in Lin Ling's world, it would be enough to stir up a bloody storm. Calamity-destroying Sun Bao. Lin Ling roared and unleashed his full battle strength. The dragon bow appeared and 4 arrows intertwined, killing those monsters. After the dragon bow appeared, the monsters were stunned. They seemed to be surprised by Lin Ling's dragon bow. But soon, a rhinoceros-like dragon demon appeared and roared at the sky. It absorbed a large amount of gas and formed a huge black light barrier. It actually blocked Lin Ling's dragon god arrow. Too strong. Lin Ling's expression grew even more solemn. He was certain that he was no match for the rhinoceros-like dragon demon at the martial ancestor realm. Fuse transform. Death was upon him. Lin Ling did not hide anything. His soul power burst out, and he turned into a dark dragon demon. He waved his dragon claws, and the world-swallowing beast increased its defensive power by a huge margin. Rumble! A bear-like dragon demon collided with Lin Ling. It was immediately flipped over by Lin Ling, and its chest was torn open by Lin Ling's dragon claws. Now, Lin Ling had 2,000 realms of power. In addition to the fusion of his 5 dantians and various talents, he was even stronger than when he was in the rainbow world. What? He's also a dragon demon? Seeing Lin Ling's inhuman and dragon-like appearance, all the monsters were shocked. In fact, the current Lin Ling gave them a strong visual impression. His entire body was covered in black scales, and it was even darker than theirs. He had 4 black dragon claws, and muddy black clouds surrounded his body. Most importantly, a strong dragon aura emanated from him, and it was even purer than theirs. I don't believe that he's also a dragon demon. However, many martial ancestor realm monsters roared and pounced on Lin Ling again. Boom! Lin Ling collided with one of the monsters, creating a terrifying shockwave that blew the mountains of the Silent Mountain range down. Lin Ling was also at a disadvantage, but he was not injured. This meant that with his transformation talent and his 5 dantians, his strength was comparable to the martial ancestor realm. Of course, it was just barely comparable. Looks like I'll have to use the true inheritance dark sword. Lin Ling's eyes turned pitch black, and they were extremely cold and merciless. He knew that if he used the true inheritance dark sword, even if he could kill these dragon demons, he, Lin Ling, would definitely die. After all, it would take a long time to kill the monsters, and Lin Ling would consume more life force. Don't be rude. However, at that moment, a smile suddenly sounded. Then, a white-haired old man walked out of the broken mountain range. He was holding a walking stick and wearing a black robe. The white beard formed a sharp contrast with the black robe. We have guests from afar. We should welcome them. The old man looked extremely benevolent. He stopped in his tracks and smiled at Lin Ling and the others. The surrounding dragons fell silent, and a wisp of awe and fear appeared in their eyes. Lin Ling also noticed this change. He frowned slightly, then bowed to the old man. Thank you for your help, senior. He was extremely shocked. There were people in this mysterious world? Moreover, this old man was able to make all the dragon demons fear him. Who was this old man? At that moment, Lin Ling appeared to be polite, but he was wary of this old man. This was because from any angle, this old man was a powerful person. Guests, you've come from afar. Why don't you take a look at my immortal residence? Yes. The old man was still smiling. I wouldn't dare to go against Senior's wishes. It just so happens that I have the same thoughts. Thank you, Senior. Lin Ling said politely.
He withdrew all of his aura, brought Xiaoyu and the others, and followed the old man.
All the dragon demons made way for them.
They lay on both sides of the road and stared at Lin Ling and the others covetously. It was as if they could swallow Lin Ling and the others in one bite. However, they didn't dare and could only lie there.
Lin Ling followed the old man forward. In front of them, birds chirped and flowers bloomed. It was like a paradise. Here, white clouds floated, immortal fruits, and immortal beasts walked freely on the grass. It was a happy and harmonious scene. So beautiful. Seeing this mysterious scene, Broken Sword immediately let out a cry of surprise. How is my immortal residence?
Hearing Broken Sword's words, the old man couldn't help but laugh.
Very beautiful. Lin Ling immediately praised, causing the old man to laugh.
It was as if he was very satisfied with Lin Ling's answer.
Come, follow me. The old man plucked some immortal fruits from the tree, handed them to Xiaoyu, and said with a smile. That kind appearance undoubtedly made Xiaoyu have a good impression of him.
Perhaps seeing the old man made Xiaoyu feel as if she was seeing her grandfather.
Xiaoyu, why aren't you thanking Senior Grandpa?
Lin Ling said with a smile.
Thank you, Senior Grandpa.
Xiaoyu immediately smiled sweetly.
Hee hee, what a cute little girl. Chapter 3368. Bone of the Dragon God. Lin Ling looked at Afterimage and the others again, and realized that they were all attracted by the immortal realm.
They seemed to respect the old man very much and did not notice anything at all.
However, Lin Ling didn't say much. He followed the old man and continued forward. He looked behind him and saw that those cute immortal beasts were still playing, eating immortal fruits, and running on the grass. But for some reason, these immortal beasts gave him a distorted feeling. Why do I have such a feeling? Lin Ling thought inwardly. He activated the 10,000 Mammoth's magic eyes and released his soul power, but he didn't find anything wrong. In the end, he finally found out why he felt distorted. It was because the eyes of those immortal beasts were different. They were actually pitch black. Although those immortal beasts were cute animals like deer and rabbits, Lin Ling could sense that their eyes were bloodthirsty. This discovery undoubtedly caused Lin Ling's entire body to turn cold. Little friend, what do you think of my palace? At this time the old man stopped. Lin Ling and the others discovered that they had arrived at the edge of a cliff. A magnificent golden bridge connected the cliff, and on the other side was a grand and ancient palace. The palace was white in color, and upon closer inspection, it was actually carved out of countless bones. Although the bones would make one's heart palpitate, for some unknown reason, the carvings of the bones were extremely perfect. They perfectly fused together to form this exquisite and majestic palace. How was this a palace? It was simply a work of art. Looking at the corners of the palace, one could see majestic dragon heads, making the palace look like a dragon palace. Dragon bones! Lin Ling couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Xiaoyu and the others were the same. They were all attracted by the holiness and beauty of this palace. That's right, it was carved from dragon bones. When the old man saw Lin Ling and the rest's shocked expressions, he couldn't help but smile in satisfaction. He liked to see these people's shocked expressions. Moreover, these dragon bones are all bones of the dragon god. Lin Ling was indeed shocked. Her little friend seems to be very interested in the dragon god's bone. The old man looked at Lin Ling and said, "You are honored guests. Since you like these dragon bones, take as many as you like. I don't have much in this immortal land, but I have a lot of dragon bones." Really? Lin Ling was overjoyed. Of course. Now, follow me into the palace. The old man smiled and nodded. He took a step forward and walked toward the bridge, leading the way to the mysterious palace. Lin Ling and the others followed closely behind. Welcome back, Your Excellency. Welcome, guests. Arriving at the bottom of the palace, there were already many maids and guards standing there. They all had smiles on their faces. Their clothes were neat and tidy, giving off an extremely good feeling. Yes. The old man nodded and strode into the palace. Dear guests, please take your time. When Lin Ling and the rest followed, the maids and guards said in unison, "You're too polite." Even Xiaoyu felt overwhelmed by this unexpected favor. This palace, coupled with these maids and guards, tested as expected of a place with the title of immortal abode. Even though Afterimage had traveled extensively,
This was the first time he had seen such a beautiful thing. In this place, he felt like an immortal, being worshipped and revered by mortals. The interior of the palace was also beautifully decorated, revealing a luxurious and surging aura everywhere, causing Xiao Yu and the rest to exclaim repeatedly. However, Lin Ling did not speak this time. For some reason, although the interior of the palace was very beautiful, it always gave him a sense of disharmony, as if everything was distorted. Looking at the polite maids and guards around him, although the maids and fairies were beautiful, the guards were like celestial soldiers and generals. However, Lin Ling still had a feeling that under this beautiful surface, there seemed to be an ugly side hidden. I hope it's an illusion. Lin Ling shook his head inwardly. This old man's strength was too strong. Whether all of this was true or not, with Lin Ling's strength, he could not see through it at all. In a large hall, everyone sat down, and immediately, maids placed all kinds of immortal fruits and immortal wine. The old man politely asked Lin Ling and the rest to sit up. The immortal fruits were extremely fragrant, causing one's appetite to whet. Moreover, after tasting them, they found that the immortal fruits were indeed very delicious. Therefore, Xiao Yu and the rest ate a lot, but Lin Ling, who had a grudge in his heart, only ate a little symbolically. Young friend Lin Ling, is it not to your taste? On the way, the old man and Lin Ling had a rough conversation, so they knew each other's names. At this moment, he could not help but ask curiously. No, it's mainly because I'm used to cultivating, so I don't really like to eat. Lin Ling said with a smile. You are a martial arts fanatic. The old man nodded immediately. Some martial artists who were addicted to martial arts were like this. Unless it was treasures used for cultivation, they usually did not like to eat or enjoy themselves. Lin Ling should be such a person. Senior, you're right. Lin Ling nodded politely, and the doubts in his heart grew stronger. Why was this old man so polite to them? What was hidden in this palace? All of this made him feel confused and bewildered. I see that you are travel-worn and have not had a good rest for a while. Have a good rest in the palace tonight. Here, no one can disturb you. After Lin Ling and the rest had eaten their fill, the old man said with a smile. Thank you, senior. Speaking of this, Doing and the rest immediately laughed. In the demon desert, they had been on the road and were indeed travel-worn. Therefore, if they could have a good night's rest, they would definitely not miss it. Someone, take them to wash up. Immediately, a maid and the rest led Lin Ling and the rest away. Under a gorgeous waterfall, the celestial water floated and the fragrance filled the air. Lin Ling and the rest began to wash up. Broken Sword, Doing, and the rest all laughed loudly. It was obvious that the rest this time had allowed them to be extremely carefree. After washing up, the maidservant led them to their room to rest. The room was extremely spacious and the decorations were gorgeous. Before the maidservant left, she said that if they needed anything, they could look for them immediately. Then she left. There were several comfortable beds in the room. Xiao Yu, Doing, and the rest laid on the beds and relaxed their bodies. Lin Ling looked around vigilantly. After seeing that there were no objections, he relaxed a little. However, his gaze finally fell on the window. He walked forward and immediately realized that this place was very high. From the window, he could see the mountain range in the distance. The mountain range was silent and somewhat dark. It was so dark that it made one's heart palpitate. Such a terrifying place actually had such a gorgeous palace that allowed people to relax and rest. This made people suspicious. However, with the old man's strength, if he really wanted to harm them, they would not be able to resist. This made Lin Ling rub his forehead. He really could not understand all of this. Chapter 3369. Dragon God. Lin Ling was overjoyed. No matter how strange this place was, he had to get the dragon bones first. After the guards left, Lin Ling began to investigate the dragon bones. He was surprised to find that these dragon bones were extremely ancient, probably more than 100,000 years old. Moreover, all of them were dragon god bones. With these dragon bones, my sky dragon and wind dragon can be upgraded again. Lin Ling secretly said. He planned to use this time to refine the dragon bones. Then, he put away the dragon bones and wanted to refine them, but his eyes looked out of the window again. He saw that in the dark mountain range, it was still quiet as if it was a devil's world. However, in the darkness, eyes faintly appeared, and these eyes were secretly staring at the palace.
It was extremely strange. Is it those dragon demons?
Lin Ling frowned, then went to the bed and began to refine the dragon bones.
Roar.
Although these dragon bones were inanimate objects, they must have been the most ancient and powerful existences when they were dragon gods. Therefore, when Lin Ling refined them, he immediately sensed an indescribable pressure assaulting him.
It was as if countless invisible and colorless dragon kings surrounded Lin Ling, wanting to devour Lin Ling. These dragon bones are more powerful than the dragon bones I saw in the past. Lin Ling was shocked. He was sure that if it was someone else, they would definitely not be able to refine these dragon bones. Unfortunately, his Chaos Divine formula was too powerful. There was nothing it could not refine. Just like a furnace, the dragon god's bone was thrown into the furnace and turned into dragon god's chi. This mysterious dragon god chi continuously poured into Lin Ling's bones. Ka ka ka. Lin Ling's bones made a crisp sound, as if they were being reorganized, starting from shattering and then fusing together. This process was naturally extremely painful. Unfortunately, Lin Ling had faced too many setbacks and tribulations since he started cultivating. This kind of pain was equivalent to nothing to him. Lin Ling did not even blink, allowing the bones in his body to change. At the same time, his fifth dantian was also changing. A storm was swirling, turning into a wind dragon that coiled around his dantian. The talents of the two dragons were transforming at this moment. They were transforming towards the ultimate desolate body. At present, Lin Ling's only ultimate desolate body was the space-time divine monument. But now, there were two more. While Lin Ling was cultivating, Xiao Yu, Du Kanying, and the others accompanied the old man and walked around the palace. During this period of time, they were quite happy. Lin Ling was not worried about Xiao Yu and the others. After all, if the old man really wanted to kill them, he would not be able to stop him. With the passage of time, Lin Ling's heavenly dragon skeleton had completely transformed, entering the ranks of a first-grade ultimate desolate body. Ultimate desolate body. People with such talent were all at the pinnacle of the 9 prefectures, but Lin Ling had 2. Furthermore, the great nether wind dragon was also transforming. It had finally entered the ranks of the ultimate desolate body. In this way, Lin Ling's strength increased greatly. Furthermore, during the time he was refining the dragon skeleton, he had naturally entered the 4th heaven of the sage realm, breaking through 2 levels consecutively. The dragon god's bone was indeed a rare item. My strength has reached the power of 2,000 realms. If I were to transform with my talents, I can reach the power of 5,000 realms. At full speed, I can reach the speed of 500 realms. Lin Ling muttered to himself. His physical strength had finally reached a new realm. If his cultivation realm and soul strength increased, he could open his 6th dantian. At present, as long as his opponent was not at the martial ancestor realm, he was not afraid of anyone, even if his opponent had an ultimate desolate body. No wonder my intuition told me to come here. So that's why. Sensing the earth-shaking changes in his body, Lin Ling revealed a smile. Although he had killed all the sages when he was being pursued in the end state, he knew that he was still very weak. Therefore, he had always wanted to become stronger. Now, he had finally completed a stage of his goal. The great solar calamity bow has reached the state of the 6th arrow. Lin Ling said again. This was because the strength of the great solar calamity bow depended on the strength of the dragon skeleton. When the dragon skeleton improved, the dragon race's divine ability would also improve. Furthermore, what surprised Lin Ling was that the 6th arrow's divine ability had the power of 10,000 arrows piercing the heart. Unfortunately, there was no one here for Lin Ling to test. This made Lin Ling feel somewhat regretful. I've been here for quite some time. I'm afraid it's about a year. It's time to go back. On this day, Lin Ling finally stood up and left his room. He went to the back garden of the palace. It was like a fairyland, with birds chirping and flowers fragrant. The old man was playing with Xiao Yu. Du Kanying and the rest were also there. Xiao Yu, is it fun? The old man said with a smile, looking extremely benevolent. Yes, it's fun. Xiao Yu also smiled, but Lin Ling could see that this smile was very forced. This made Lin Ling frown. Soon after, he understood. Although this palace was very beautiful and had many mysterious places, there was no one here. At first, it could arouse people's curiosity, but after a long time, everything would become boring. Xiao Yu was like that. Because the playfulness of a child gradually disappeared, she wanted to leave. This was not Xiao Yu's home after all. It's good that it's fun. Play with Grandpa more in the future. The old man did not know what Xiao Yu was thinking and said happily, "Could it be that this senior's real intention is for us to stay and accompany him?" Seeing this scene, Lin Ling also had some guesses. Perhaps the old man had been trapped here for many years. He was lonely, but Lin Ling and the rest could not stay here. They could not stay to accompany him because of his loneliness. Thinking of this, Lin Ling walked up.
Lin Ling, you're finally out. Although the old man did not look at Lin Ling, he seemed to know that Lin Ling was coming.
"Senior." Lin Ling immediately bowed and then went straight to the point.
"This junior is here to bid farewell."
As soon as he said this, Xiao Yu, Du Xianing, and the rest's eyes lit up. The old man was still smiling, but he began to ponder.
A strange atmosphere began to slowly spread out.
This atmosphere made Xiao Yu's heart turn cold.
She hurried to Lin Ling's side and looked at the old man in shock. Because of their interaction during this period, the old man gave her the impression that he was kind and amiable.
This was the first time she had seen the old man emit such an aura. "Why? Are you not satisfied with staying here?" The old man was silent for a long time before finally looking at Lin Ling. "Senior, we are very satisfied with this place. However, we still have many things to do outside. There are still many people who care about us waiting for us. So I'm sorry." Lin Ling cupped his fists and bowed.
"So that's the case."
The old